Hey, Judy, what's wrong? It's nothing, I reply. It's a cold day in December, and Christmas music fills the streets. I pause to admire a shiny tree ornament. My husband, Dan, walks a few steps ahead, his breath fogging the air. He turns back, smiling softly at me, his ears red from the chill. I adore the way he looks at me. I think to myself. Let's go home. I made hot stew for dinner, it's perfect for a cold night. That sounds great, he says. We hold hands, laughing, as we walk home. A familiar Christmas song drifts through the air. I'm Judy, I say. What I'm about to share is a strange Christmas miracle I experienced a few years ago, and the events that led to it. You're late, Dan snaps as I walk into the apartment. His sharp words make me cringe. Where have you been? I just went to the nearest deli to grab the hot sauce we ran out of. It was a freezing day in mid-December, and just a short while ago, he'd sent me out into the cold without my coat. Do you think I'm a fool? I work hard to pay the bills. When I come home, I expect dinner to be ready and perfect. Can't you even handle that? I stare at the floor as he rants. No hot sauce? How am I supposed to eat chicken wings without it? And why do you always look so lazy? You're messing everything up. I'd hurried out earlier, bought the sauce, and rushed back, but now he's even angrier. You went to a deli? Are you crazy? It's cheaper at the supermarket. He glares at me, pointing at the bottle like it's some kind of crime. I can't help but answer back. The supermarket's farther away, and the food would have gone cold. I didn't have time for that. Besides, the chicken wings tasted fine even without the sauce. Are you seriously talking back to me? He roars. Where's your apology? I already said I'm sorry. But my response only fuels his rage. He shouts at me for another hour before flipping his plate of chicken wings and storming out to eat elsewhere. A few days later, I visited my childhood neighborhood to clean my parents' house, which was up for sale. I stopped by to see an elderly woman I've always called Grandma. Grandma, your predictions have always been right, until now, I tease her. I don't make predictions, she says with a mysterious smile. But you do, I insist, laughing. You've always known what's going to happen, like when you told me not to go to the mall, and later that day, lightning struck it, or when you told me to go outside on a sunny day, and my house was robbed while I was out. If I'd been home, I might have been hurt, or worse. Grandma just chuckles, brushing it off. I pause, my tone growing serious. You even helped me prepare for my mom's illness. Your advice gave her peace of mind before she passed. She told me you said I'd have something wonderful happen on a Christmas not too far away. It made her happy to think I'd have a bright future. I think back to how Dan proposed to me on Christmas Day, believing it was the special moment Grandma predicted. But now, I feel stuck. Dan has changed so much since we got married. He gets angry over little things, like the temperature of the food or how I clean. He criticizes everything I do, leaving me feeling small and trapped. I don't even want to go home, I admit to Grandma, my voice cracking. Now, she says gently, it's getting late. Don't you need to cook dinner? Her words feel like a soft nudge, but they still sting. I stand up reluctantly. You'll be okay, she says. Just stand your ground and stay true to yourself. Life will get better. One day, you'll have a Christmas so joyful you'll feel like jumping for joy. God is watching. Her words lighten my heart just a little. Is that a prophecy? I ask, turning back to her. Grandma smiles mysteriously. Let's just say I'm an old woman sharing wisdom. On my way home, I try to shake off my doubts. If I work harder, maybe Dan will change, I tell myself, but things only get worse. It became normal for Dan to bark orders at me, make dinner, give me a massage, iron my shirt. He never said a kind word, only criticism. One night, his temper flared up again. Who do you think you are? He snapped. Why, what did I do? I asked, confused and weary. But once again, I was left questioning why this marriage had turned into a constant storm of anger and hurt. You don't even have the decency to greet me when I get home, Dan yelled as soon as he walked in. Who do you think you are, staying out so late? Now I have to heat up my food in the microwave. God darn you. I sighed deeply. I told you I had a co-op meeting tonight. I even left a note on the table. Shut up. That's no excuse for lazy cooking, he snapped. Lazy? What are you talking about? I made the main dish and all the sides, just like always, I replied, trying to stay calm. If it's not freshly cooked, it's cutting corners, he barked back. His reasoning was ridiculous. I should always come first. Above anyone or anything. I've been putting up with you. You're my wife, you're supposed to obey me. That's insane, I blurted, shocked by his entitled demands, but he stood tall, puffed up with self-importance, and sneered at me. You have no family, no one else to rely on, you can't survive on your own, you're nothing without me, you should shut up and worship me. If you can't do that, I'll divorce you, he said, smirking like he enjoyed breaking me down. Then he sat down and ordered, now, give me a foot massage. I bit back my frustration, holding myself together as best I could. If I fought back, it would only make things worse, and most importantly, I had nowhere else to go, not in the freezing sleet outside. So, I sat on the floor and gave him the massage, swallowing my pride like I had so many times before. This cycle went on until one day, while grocery shopping, I suddenly collapsed from intense pain. An ambulance rushed me to the hospital. When the doctor explained my condition, I couldn't make sense of it at first. This virus is transmitted through sexual contact, the doctor said gently. Your husband was also tested, and both of you have it. You probably didn't notice, because you had no symptoms. Unfortunately, you'll need surgery, and I'm very sorry to tell you this, but your chances of having children in the future are extremely slim. The words hit me like a freight train, my mind went blank. Dan quickly followed the doctor out of the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I can't have a baby, I whispered to myself, over and over, as the weight of it sank in. Slowly, the shock turned into an overwhelming darkness inside me. I needed answers. Forcing myself to stand on unsteady legs, I tried to follow them. Wait, doctor, Dan, I called out, but I froze mid-step when I overheard their conversation. And in that moment, I realized something that would change everything. So, does everyone need to get tested? Exactly, they all need treatment at once, or it'll just keep coming back to you, the doctor explained. Do they even know what the test is for? Dan asked, his voice persistent. Of course they do, the doctor replied, clearly getting annoyed with him. I sat quietly, feeling hopeless. As I listened to their conversation, it became clear that Dan had been seeing at least 3 different women while we were married. I looked at a picture of my mom on the wall and whispered, I need help. I know he's not a good husband now, but maybe he'll change if we have a baby. I tried to hold on to Grandma's words. I would struggle now, but eventually, I'd be happy. I thought they would be my good luck charm, but I was wrong. Dan didn't seem to care about me at all. He was always focused on his own health, going to the hospital for his checkups, while I suffered in silence. I longed for a family of my own, a husband, kids, and a home. Tears streamed down my face as I held the picture of my mom. Mom, I sobbed quietly. Suddenly, Dan appeared. What are you sitting around for? Dinner's not ready. He threw papers on my head as I sat there. These are divorce papers, he said, his voice cold. This is your punishment for ignoring me and making a fuss. You're so depressing, he sneered. I'm ready to divorce you anytime. You're the one who will suffer, not me. If you don't want that, start doing your duty. I'm not slacking, I mumbled, too tired to argue anymore. Oh, there's one more thing, no living expenses for you this month, he added with a smirk. He stepped closer. I'm giving you a chance to reflect, know your place. If you don't obey me, it's over. Once he finished his rant, he left the room, looking satisfied with himself. Divorce. The word hung in the air, my emotions numbed as my eyes fell on the papers with Dan's signature. Mom, I've decided, I whispered, wiping away my tears. I looked at her smiling picture. Please watch over me. For a while, I stayed quiet, living with Dan as usual. He treated me like a servant, taking out his anger on me. I argued sometimes, but mostly, I endured the silence. And one day, as he began another tantrum, I knew it was time to act. I told you already, I can't eat lukewarm salad, and cold stew? Forget it. How long does it take for you to get it right? I sighed inside, then decided to follow through with my plan. If I don't obey, you'll divorce me, right? Right, at least you remember that. If you don't want me to leave, you better fix your stupidity. He leaned back, satisfied with himself. You're a bit slow, aren't you? What? He blinked in surprise at my response. What did you just say? You say the same things over and over. Do you even know any other words? All you ever say is divorce. It's sad, really. What the heck? Let's get a divorce. I'm fine with it. I'll be a stranger to you, just like you want. His jaw dropped in disbelief. Are you serious? I smiled calmly and said, goodbye. I took off the apron I had bought when we got married, folded it, and placed it on the table with the house keys on top. I looked at him one last time before picking up my pre-packed suitcase and walking out the door. What the heck is going on? His voice chased after me, snapping me out of my thoughts, but I couldn't care less. Yay, I'm free. I pretended not to hear him and happily walked towards my parents' house, where I had decided to move back in. 1 year later. The divorce was final, but Dan didn't stop contacting me. You're sorry, aren't you? I'll take you back if you apologize. A wife should. I ignored the constant messages, which were something I never had to deal with when we were married. Eventually, after he kept pushing, I agreed to meet him face to face at his parents' house. Why have you been ignoring me? Dan, who was trying to act calm in front of his parents, spoke reasonably. I've been texting you all this time, but you never replied. Oh, yeah, I turned off notifications from you. Why? It was too annoying. I am annoying? Yes, you are. His face started turning red as his anger built up. So, what do you want to talk to me about? He started raising his voice, but then remembered where we were and quickly muttered an apology, something that had never happened in our marriage. Wow, I thought, he actually knows how to apologize. What do you need to talk to your ex-wife about? I asked, curious. Hold on, why are you acting so strange? Aren't you struggling after the divorce? How are you managing? He sounded almost concerned, but I couldn't forget how he never even checked on me before, even though he knew where I lived. I didn't mind getting back together if that's what you want. Doesn't that make you happy? Not at all. I almost laughed at his confidence. It doesn't make me happy, and it wouldn't help me. I make enough money to support myself. Besides, the living expenses you gave me were only $500 a month. It didn't even cover what we needed. You're the one struggling now, without me, right? The money I was covering for you is gone, and I'm much more comfortable being alone now. I don't understand why we'd get back together after I've finally been free, I said, pretending to be confused. Dan got visibly frustrated. What? You were supposed to be a housewife. I mean, let's not talk about finances, he mumbled, clearly uncomfortable with his parents being there. Dan, stop acting like a child caught in trouble. Calm down. Don't try to look good now. They know everything about you. What secrets? He asked. I motioned for him to be quiet and revealed the truth. You're wrong about me. I wasn't just a housewife. I told you I lived abroad because of my dad's job. I used the German I learned there to work as a translator. Do you remember those materials on the bookshelves? I didn't care about them, he muttered. Exactly. Those were materials and manuscripts for translation. You never touched them because you didn't care. Thanks to that, I hid some recording equipment. Wait. Dan froze when I mentioned the word recording. It was his father who presented the evidence, a recording device and files, right in front of him. See, all your secrets, like how you treated her, are out now, his father said. His parents started crying as they watched the recordings and apologized to me. They were ashamed of how their son treated me. Well. Dan stammered, clearly nervous under the pressure. His mother grabbed him and forced him to sit down again. She glanced at me, signaling for me to continue, and I nodded. These are copies of our divorce papers, I said, pointing to parts marked with red circles. You know what these are, right? No way. He whispered, shocked. I showed him the witness signatures on the papers, people he knew very well. Actually, there wasn't enough space for all the witnesses. You had more than 2 girlfriends, didn't you? Wait a second. No more waiting, I interrupted. Before I could continue, a voice full of resentment filled the room. You never told us about the STD. We only had a relationship with you. That means you brought it in from somewhere else, didn't you? I mean, what am I, a fling? Didn't you say we'd get married one day? That's something only a bachelor should say. Oh no, one of his girlfriends added, her voice full of contempt. We watched the video too. You're a villain, not just to us, but to all women. You're public enemy number 1. You're finished. Surrounded by his angry girlfriends, Dan collapsed to the floor. His parents sighed deeply, ashamed of their son. I had hired a private investigator to look into his girlfriends and had secretly contacted them. I also informed my ex-in-laws about everything. The result was this chaos. Your game is up now, Dan. His parents strongly insisted that he face the consequences. All of his girlfriends and I demanded compensation from him. Dan worked for a company owned by a relative of his mother, so the payments were taken directly from his paycheck. To make sure he couldn't escape, he was kept under strict supervision at his parents' house while facing years of compensation payments. 6 years had passed since everything had changed. "Hey, Judy, what's wrong?" It was a cold day, with Christmas songs playing everywhere in the city. I stopped in front of a tree ornament that caught my eye. My husband, his breath visible in the chilly air, turned to look at me from a few steps ahead. He smiled softly, his ears red from the cold. The little girl in his arms had rosy cheeks too. I couldn't help but adore them both. Grandma's prediction was actually amazing, I murmured to myself. My current husband, surprisingly, was the brother of one of Dan's ex-girlfriends. After everything, I had stayed in touch with the girlfriends, and it was through them that I met him. He had gently helped me heal from the depression I'd suffered after my painful marriage to Dan. It felt like a strange, almost fateful twist of events. If it hadn't been for everything with Dan, I never would have met my husband. So that's what Grandma meant when she said, "You'll struggle, but you'll be happy." I reflected again, amazed at how true her words had turned out to be. And, against all odds, I had gotten pregnant after we married, something I had been told was highly unlikely. I still remember the Christmas day when I was rushed to the emergency room and the doctor announced that I was pregnant. We were overjoyed, jumping up and down like kids, and the nurse scolded us to calm down. It felt like a true Christmas miracle. This time of year always brought those memories rushing back. I had been hurt deeply by Dan, but now, I was so happy. "Mommy." I was brought back from my thoughts as my daughter left my husband's arms and ran to me in her fuzzy coat. "Nothing, let's go home and have dinner. It's hot stew for an especially cold day, I've already prepared it." "Sounds great." "Yay." Laughing, we held hands and walked down the street together. And from somewhere, a familiar Christmas song played in the background.
The call came on the night of my biggest triumph. Isn't that how karma works? Just when you think you've finally proven everyone wrong, life throws you a curveball that makes you question everything. I'm Ren, and I was standing in my first solo exhibition at the Azure Gallery, champagne in hand, surrounded by my artwork and the gentle murmur of appreciation from Manhattan's elite art crowd. My best friend Sasha squeezed my arm, pointing out yet another red dot appearing beside one of my paintings. "That's the 8th one tonight," she squealed. God, your dad would eat his words if he could see this. I forced a smile, but the mention of my father still stung, even after 5 years. "Let's not go there tonight, Sash." Corey, my partner and the gallery owner, approached with a broad smile. "The critics are loving it, babe. That piece about urban isolation, they're calling it a masterpiece." I should have been ecstatic. This was everything I'd worked for since walking away from my father's empire. Tony Lawson, CEO of Lawson Industries, hadn't spoken to me since the day I told him I was choosing art school over business school. "You're throwing away your future," he'd said, his voice cold as steel. "Don't expect any support from me." My phone buzzed in my clutch. Unknown number. I usually ignored these, but something made me step away from the crowd and answer. "Is this Ren Lawson?" A woman's voice, professional but gentle. "Yes, speaking." "This is Dr. Wells from Mount Sinai Hospital. I'm your father's physician. I know this is unexpected, but your father has been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. He needs a bone marrow transplant, and we've tested all immediate family members. You're his only viable match." The champagne glass slipped from my hand, shattering on the polished concrete floor. Several guests turned to stare, but I barely noticed. "Ren?" Sasha was at my side instantly, her hand on my shoulder. "What's wrong?" I held up a finger, trying to focus on Dr. Wells's voice as she explained the urgency of the situation. "How long does he have?" I managed to ask. "Without the transplant? Maybe 3 months. With it, his chances of recovery are good. I know there's history between you two. Your mother mentioned the estrangement." Mom. Of course she'd been trying to reach me. I'd been screening her calls, too focused on the exhibition. "I'll need time to think about it," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "Of course. But please don't take too long. Here's my direct number." After hanging up, I turned to find both Sasha and Corey watching me with concern. "My father's dying," I said flatly. And apparently, I'm the only one who can save him. Sasha's eyes widened. Holy shit. Corey pulled me into a hug, but I remained stiff. What are you thinking? He asked softly. I looked around the gallery, at my artwork displayed proudly on the pristine walls. Each piece represented a middle finger to my father's dismissal of my choices. The red dots beside them proved I wasn't the failure he'd predicted. I'm thinking about karma, I said, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. The daughter he disowned is his only hope. Ren, Sasha started, but I cut her off. No, this is perfect, actually. A plan was forming in my mind, something deliciously vindictive yet justified. He needs me now. After all these years of acting like I don't exist, he needs me. Whatever you're thinking, slow down, Corey warned. This isn't just about revenge. It's literally life and death. I walked to my centerpiece, a massive canvas depicting a man in a suit, his face obscured by shadow, standing alone in an empty boardroom. I'd painted it thinking of my father, though I'd never admitted that to anyone. You know what the worst part was? I said, staring at the painting. He never even looked at my work. Not once. He dismissed my entire career without ever seeing what I could do. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. I declined the call. So what are you going to do? Sasha asked quietly. I turned back to them, my mind made up. I'm going to save his life, but first, he's going to have to swallow his pride and acknowledge everything he said I couldn't do. Be careful, Corey said, pulling me close. Revenge has a way of burning both ends. I leaned into him, watching as another red dot was placed beside one of my paintings. Sometimes, I whispered, karma needs a little help. The memory of my last confrontation with my father played in my mind as I sat in Dr. Wells's sterile office the next morning. 5 years ago, I'd stood in his mahogany-lined study, portfolio in hand, trying one last time to make him understand. Just look at them, I'd begged, spreading my sketches across his desk. I'm good at this, Dad. Really good. He hadn't even glanced at them. Being good at drawing pretty pictures won't secure your future, Ren. The company needs you. The company needs an heir, I'd corrected him. It doesn't need me specifically. Don't be dramatic, he'd said, shuffling my artwork aside to reach for some contracts. This rebellious phase needs to end. I'd gathered my drawings, hands shaking. This isn't a phase. This is who I am. Then you're no daughter of mine. Dr. Wells's voice pulled me back to the present. The procedure itself is relatively straightforward, she explained, spreading out medical documents. We'll harvest stem cells from your blood through a process called apheresis. Will it hurt? I asked, not sure why I cared. There can be some discomfort, yes. We'll give you injections for 5 days before the collection to increase stem cell production. Common side effects include bone pain, fatigue. My phone buzzed. Sasha, you okay? Want me to come with? Has he asked for me specifically? I interrupted Dr. Wells. She hesitated. Your father is private about his feelings, but your mother... That's a no then. I stood up, pacing the small office. He knows I'm the only match? Yes, we informed him yesterday. And he still hasn't asked for me himself? I laughed bitterly. Typical. Ren, Dr. Wells leaned forward, her expression gentle but serious. I understand there's history here, but time is crucial. Your father's condition is deteriorating rapidly. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Please call me, sweetheart. We need to talk. I'll do it, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. But I have conditions. Dr. Wells nodded cautiously. Medical decisions should be not medical conditions. I met her eyes. Personal ones. Before she could respond, a knock at the door interrupted us. My mother burst in, looking exactly as I remembered, but somehow smaller, more fragile. Ren, she breathed, moving to hug me. I stepped back. You should have told me yourself, Mom, not through his doctor. I tried calling, for what, a day, after 5 years of taking his side? I never took sides, she looked hurt. I supported your art. I sent you birthday cards, Christmas gifts, while living in his house, spending his money, watching him erase me from the family photos. My voice cracked. You chose peace over justice, Mom, every single day. Dr. Wells cleared her throat. Should I give you two a moment? No need, I said. I was just leaving. I'll do the transplant, but first, I need to talk to him, face to face. Mom reached for my arm. Honey, he's very weak. Perfect, I pulled away. Then maybe for once he'll actually listen. Outside the hospital, Sasha was waiting with coffee. Thought you might need this, she said, handing me a cup. How'd it go? I'm going to save his life, I said, taking a sip. But first he's going to come to my exhibition. He's going to stand up in front of everyone and admit he was wrong about me. Sasha nearly choked on her coffee. Holy shit, Ren, that's... justified? I was going to say intense. She studied my face. Are you sure about this? Using his life as leverage? He used my entire future as leverage, I snapped. Told me it was either his way or nothing. Well, now it's my turn to make the rules. And what if he refuses? Then he's not just a bad father, I said, tossing my empty cup in a nearby bin. He's a proud fool who'd rather die than admit he was wrong about his daughter. My phone buzzed yet again. This time it was Corey. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. But remember, revenge might feel good now. But can you live with the consequences? I stared at his message for a long moment. Could I live with using my father's illness as a bargaining chip? Could I live with letting him die if he refused? But then I remembered all the nights I'd cried myself to sleep, all the family events I'd missed, all the times I'd checked the mail hoping for some sign that he still cared. I need to see him, I told Sasha. Today. She squeezed my hand. Want me to come with? I shook my head. No, this is between me and him. It's time to find out if his pride is really worth dying for. The hospital room was smaller than I expected for someone of my father's status. No mahogany panels here, just sterile white walls and the steady beep of monitors. He lay propped up in bed, still wearing a dress shirt despite the IV in his arm. Some habits die hard, I guess. Ren. His voice was weaker than I remembered, but his eyes were sharp as ever. You came. Not for you. I remained standing by the door. For Mom. And because letting you die would make me as heartless as you. He sighed, adjusting himself in the bed. If you came to throw accusations, I came to make a deal. I moved closer, noting how the illness had hollowed his cheeks. Isn't that the language you understand best? Always so dramatic. He tried to sound dismissive, but a coughing fit ruined the effect. I waited until it passed. Here's my offer. I'll do the transplant. But first you're going to attend my exhibition. He stared at me. That's all? No. I pulled up a chair but didn't sit. You're going to stand up in front of everyone. The critics, the buyers, your business friends, and publicly acknowledge that you were wrong about me. Wrong about my choices. Wrong about my art. The monitors beeped in the silence that followed. His face flushed with anger, or maybe fever. Absolutely not. Then find another donor. I turned to leave. This is ridiculous, he snapped. You'd let me die over a speech? I spun back. You let me die 5 years ago. My dreams, my identity, everything I was. You killed it all because it didn't fit your precious plan. I was protecting you. You were protecting your ego, the words echoed off the walls. And now your ego is literally killing you. Poetic, isn't it? A nurse poked her head in. Everything okay in here? Fine, we said simultaneously. And for a moment, I saw a flash of our old connection. After she left, Mom slipped in. She must have been waiting outside. I heard shouting, she said, looking between us. Your daughter is attempting blackmail, Dad informed her. Your husband is choosing pride over survival, I countered. Mom sat heavily in the chair I'd ignored. Enough, both of you. Ren, honey, he's sick. This isn't the time for... When is the time, Mom? When he's dead? When there's nothing left to resolve? I pulled out my phone, pulled up the gallery website. Look, Dad, actually look. I held the phone in front of him. He turned away. Fine. I started reading reviews out loud. Lawson's work demonstrates a masterful understanding of light and shadow. Her commentary on modern isolation is haunting and profound. One of the most promising new artists in New York. "Stop it," he muttered. "The centerpiece alone sold for—" I said stop. He knocked the phone from my hand. It clattered across the floor. Mom retrieved it, hands shaking. "Tony, please, just look." "I don't need to look at pictures to know I was right," he said. "Success in art is fleeting. The family business is doing fine without me," I finished. "Just like I'm doing fine without it. The difference is, right now, you're not fine at all." His heart monitor picked up speed. Mom noticed too, moving to his side. "Ren, maybe we should continue this later." "No." I stepped closer to his bed. "Here's what's going to happen. You have until tomorrow to decide. Either you swallow your pride and acknowledge my success publicly, or you can explain to your shareholders why you chose death over admitting you were wrong about your daughter." "You've become cruel," he whispered. "I learned from the best." I headed for the door, then paused. "The exhibition's next Friday. Dr. Wells says you're strong enough to attend for an hour. Think about it." Mom followed me into the hallway. "Honey, please, there has to be another way." There was another way. For 5 years, there were other ways. He chose none of them. He's still your father. "No." I felt tears threatening, but held them back. He made it very clear that he stopped being my father the day I chose my own path. Now he can deal with the consequences of that decision. "And what about your consequences?" She touched my arm. "Can you live with them?" I pulled away. "I've been living with his consequences for 5 years. It's his turn now." As I walked away, I heard her call after me. "He keeps every article about you, every review. He pretends he doesn't care. But he does, Ren. He does." I kept walking. If that was true, he could prove it, in front of everyone. My phone buzzed with a text from Sasha. "How'd it go?" I typed back. "Ball's in his court now. We'll see if his pride is stronger than his will to live." "You're stress painting again," Corey observed from the doorway of my studio. Empty coffee cups and paint-splattered newspapers littered the floor around my easel. "I'm not stressed," I said, attacking the canvas with angry red strokes. "I'm working." "It's 3 a.m. He picked his way through the chaos. "And that's the 3rd canvas you've started tonight." I stepped back, realizing I'd painted another shadowy businessman, just like the one from the exhibition, just like my father. "Dr. Wells called," I said, dropping my brush into a jar of murky water. "His condition's getting worse. The cancer's aggressive." Corey wrapped his arms around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. "Have you heard from him?" "Radio silence. Mom says he's being stubborn." I leaned back against Corey's chest. "Maybe I'm being stubborn too." "You think?" I pulled away. "Don't you start." "I'm just saying there might be a middle ground here." He gestured at my paintings. "Look at what this is doing to you." Before I could respond, my phone rang. Mom's number. "He's agreed," she said without preamble. "He'll come to the exhibition." My heart jumped. "And the public acknowledgement?" A pause. "He wants to meet at your studio today." 2 hours later, my father walked into my creative space, leaning on a cane I'd never seen before. Mom hovered nearby like she expected him to collapse any second. Maybe she was right. He looked worse than he had in the hospital. "Nice space," he said, looking around at the paint-splattered walls and finished canvases. "Thanks. The rent's reasonable since it's not in a mahogany-lined skyscraper." He winced at the jab but continued moving through the studio, stopping at each painting, actually looking at them. Finally. "These are—" He cleared his throat. "These are quite good." "I know." I crossed my arms. "So, you wanted to meet?" He turned to face me. "I'll come to your exhibition. I'll even make a speech. But I have conditions, too." "You're not really in a position to—" "Let me finish." He held up a hand. "I'll acknowledge your talent, your success, but I won't apologize for trying to protect you from an uncertain future." "Protect me?" I laughed. "You disowned me. Because I was terrified." The outburst seemed to drain him. He sank onto a paint-stained stool. "Do you know how many artists actually succeed? How many end up struggling their whole lives?" So you decided to guarantee my failure by cutting me off completely? Mom stepped between us. Please, both of you, stay out of this, Elena. Dad snapped, then immediately softened. Sorry, I need to say this. He pulled something from his jacket pocket, a folded piece of paper, worn at the edges. What's that? I asked. My father's letter to me, when I told him I wanted to study music instead of business. His hands shook slightly. I never showed this to anyone, not even your mother. I took the letter hesitantly. As I read, my breath caught. The words could have been written by my father to me. The same disappointment, the same ultimatums. You wanted to be a musician? He nodded. Piano, I was quite good, but my father... He gestured at the letter. Well, you know how that story ends. You gave in, I said softly. I gave in. Built the company bigger than he ever dreamed. But I always wondered. He looked at my paintings again. You're stronger than I was, braver. The letter trembled in my hands. Why didn't you ever tell me this? Because admitting it meant facing my own cowardice. He stood slowly, unsteady on his feet. I'll come to your exhibition. I'll make the speech. Not because you're forcing me, but because you deserve it. You did what I couldn't. Mom was crying silently. I felt my own eyes burning. Dad! He swayed slightly, and Mom rushed to steady him. Just promise me one thing. Don't do the transplant out of revenge. Do it because, despite everything, we're still family. As they left, I sank to the floor, his father's letter still clutched in my hand. Corey found me there an hour later, surrounded by scattered art supplies and complicated emotions. You okay? He asked, sitting beside me. I wanted this to be simple, I whispered. Revenge, justice. But it's not simple at all, is it? He took my hand. Family never is. My phone buzzed, a text from Sasha. Did he agree? I stared at the message, thinking about fathers and children, about art and fear, about revenge and forgiveness. Yes, I typed back, but I'm not sure who won anymore. The pre-transplant tests felt endless. Blood draws, physical exams, psychological evaluations. Through it all, my father's letter to his father stayed in my jacket pocket, its edges softening from constant handling. You're a good candidate, Dr. Wells said, reviewing my results. We can schedule the procedure for next week, after your exhibition. How's he doing? I asked, rolling down my sleeve after the latest blood draw. Holding on. Your mother says he's been practicing his speech. I snorted, probably having his PR team write it. Actually, Mom's voice came from the doorway. He's been writing it himself, in the hospital garden, every morning. She looked exhausted, the kind of tired that seeps into your bones after too many nights in hospital chairs. You should go home, get some rest, I told her. I will. But first... She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo. My father sat in the hospital garden, legal pad on his lap, pen in hand. He looked small in the morning light, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen him. He's really trying, Ren. I touched the letter in my pocket. Yeah, well, maybe he should have tried 5 years ago. Maybe we all should have. She sat beside me. I found something yesterday, cleaning his home office. Want to see? She pulled out a manila folder, thick with papers. Inside were printouts of every online article about my art, every review, every gallery mention. Some had his handwritten notes in the margins. Strong composition. Excellent use of light. My daughter did this. He's been following your career all along, Mom said softly, too proud to admit it, but too invested to look away. I flipped through the articles, dates going back years. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? Before I could answer, Sasha burst in, waving her phone. Have you seen this? Someone leaked that you're doing the transplant. It's all over social media. Dr. Wells frowned. Patient confidentiality. It's fine, I interrupted, taking Sasha's phone. The post was from a local art blog. Rising star artist Ren, to save father's life through bone marrow donation. The comments are wild, Sasha said. People are calling it everything from a publicity stunt to a modern fairy tale. Great. I handed back her phone. Now my private family drama is public entertainment. Isn't that what you wanted? Mom asked quietly. Public acknowledgement? Not like this. I stood up abruptly. I need air. I found myself in the same garden where Dad had been writing his speech. Sasha followed, because of course she did. Talk to me, she said, sitting on a bench. I pulled out the letter, handed it to her. As she read, her eyes widened. Holy shit, so he gave up his dreams because his father made him. Yeah. I picked at a loose thread on my sleeve. Doesn't excuse what he did to me, but it explains it, Sasha suggested. Maybe, I don't know. I looked at her. What if I'm making a huge mistake? Using the transplant as leverage? Honey, that ship has sailed. The question now is, what are you going to do next? My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Saw the news. Don't worry about it affecting the exhibition. Focus on your art. That's what matters. Another buzz. Corey this time. Gallery's getting calls about the story. Want me to handle it? It's all spinning out of control, I told Sasha. This was supposed to be about making him face what he did to me. Now it's becoming this whole thing. Maybe that's not bad, she said. Maybe it needs to be bigger than revenge. I thought about the articles he'd saved, his notes in the margins, about him sitting in this garden, writing a speech by hand instead of having his PR team do it. I need to see him, I said suddenly. We found him in his room, asleep with a legal pad on his lap. Mom was right. He looked exhausted. I picked up the pad carefully. The speech was half finished, crossed out and rewritten multiple times, but one line stood out, unmarked by corrections. My daughter taught me that the greatest act of courage isn't succeeding, it's daring to fail on your own terms. He's been working on it all morning, Mom said from behind me. Refuses to let anyone help. I placed the pad back on his lap. His eyes fluttered open. Ren? His voice was rough with sleep. Is everything okay? Yeah, I said, surprising myself by meaning it. I wanted to tell you that whatever you say at the exhibition, make it real. That's all that matters. He nodded slowly. I'm trying. I know. I touched his hand briefly. I'm trying too. Outside his room, Sasha was waiting with a knowing look. Shut up, I said before she could speak. Didn't say anything. She linked her arm through mine. Come on, let's go make some art about all this. God, no, I laughed. I think there's been enough drama already. But later that night, in my studio, I started a new painting. Not of a shadowy businessman this time, but of a man in a garden, writing his truth one painful word at a time. The exhibition space buzzed with anticipation. The story of the estranged artist's daughter saving her father's life had drawn twice the usual crowd, much to Corey's delight and my discomfort. Channel your inner socialite, Sasha advised, adjusting my dress. You've got this. Everyone's staring, I muttered, forcing a smile at another group of whispers and pointed fingers. They're admiring your work, Corey said, appearing with champagne. The new pieces are getting the most attention. He meant the garden painting. I'd finished it just days ago, hanging it in a quiet corner away from the main display. It was more intimate than my usual style, showing my father in his moment of vulnerability. Any word from the hospital? I asked Mom, who was checking her phone for the 100th time. They're on their way. The nurse insisted on accompanying him. She touched my arm. He's weak, Ren. Maybe we should skip the speech. No, I pulled away. That was the deal. Still holding on to that? Sasha raised an eyebrow. After everything? Before I could respond, a reporter approached. Ren, can you comment on the timing of your father's illness and your rising success in the art world? No comment. Corey stepped between us. Please respect the family's privacy. But the public wants to know? The public can look at the art, I snapped. That's what they're here for. More cameras flashed. More whispers. I escaped to the back room, leaning against the wall and closing my eyes. Deep breaths, Sasha said, following me. Want me to cause a distraction? I could spill wine on that pushy reporter. I laughed despite myself. Thanks, but he's here. Mom appeared in the doorway. But Ren, he's not doing well. I pushed past her into the gallery. Dad sat in a wheelchair, a nurse hovering nearby. He looked worse than ever, pale and drawn, but his eyes were alert as they scanned the room. The crowd parted as I approached. Phones came out. Someone started filming. You came, I said softly. I made a promise. His voice was barely audible. Show me? I wheeled him through the gallery, past my older works, the ones he'd never seen. He commented on each one, asking questions about technique and inspiration. His observations were surprisingly astute. You really did follow my career, I said as we reached the garden painting. He stared at it for a long moment. Is that how you see me now? It's how you are. We both are. I knelt beside his wheelchair. Dad, maybe we should skip the speech. You're not well. No. He gripped my hand with surprising strength. I need to do this. Help me up. The nurse protested, but he was already struggling to his feet. Corey quickly brought over a microphone and small platform we'd set up. The gallery fell silent as my father stood, shaking but determined. Cameras raised. Mom grabbed my hand. My daughter, he started, then coughed. The nurse moved forward, but he waved her away. My daughter Ren is an artist. 5 years ago, I told her this was a mistake, that she was throwing her life away. He paused, breathing heavily. I found myself holding my breath, too. I was wrong. His voice grew stronger. I see that now, looking at these walls, at what she's created. But my greatest mistake wasn't doubting her talent. It was letting my fear for her future destroy our present. Tears rolled down Mom's cheeks. Sasha squeezed my shoulder. I stand here today not because of a deal or an ultimatum, but because I'm proud. Proud of the artist she's become. Proud of the woman who had the courage I never did. He turned to face me directly. Proud to call you my daughter, if you'll still have me as your father. The room erupted in applause. Cameras flashed, but I barely noticed because Dad was swaying dangerously. I reached him just as his knees buckled. The nurse rushed forward with the wheelchair. I did it, he whispered as we lowered him down. I kept my word. You did great, I said, wiping tears I hadn't realized were falling. Now let's get you back to the hospital. Wait. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket. My father's letter. Keep it. Remember that breaking cycles takes courage. As the nurse wheeled him out, reporters swarmed forward with questions. Corey and Sasha ran interference while Mom followed the wheelchair. I stood alone in the gallery, clutching 2 generations of letters about fathers and children and broken dreams. The revenge I'd planned felt hollow now, replaced by something more complicated, but also more real. My phone buzzed. Dr. Wells. Transplant scheduled for tomorrow morning. Are you ready? I looked at the garden painting, at the man writing his truth. Yes, I typed back. We both are. The transplant room was colder than I expected. Dad lay in one bed while I settled into another, both of us wearing matching hospital gowns that seemed designed to strip away any pretense of dignity. Last chance to back out, Dr. Wells said, though we all knew I wouldn't. Just don't mess up my painting arm, I joked weakly. Dad turned his head toward me. Ren, I need to tell you something before... Save your strength, I interrupted. We have time. No. He struggled to sit up straighter. I need to say this now, in case... Don't you dare. My voice cracked. No deathbed confessions allowed. The nurses bustled around us, inserting IVs, checking monitors. Mom stood in the corner, clutching her purse like a lifeline. She'd aged 10 years in the past week. The exhibition, Dad continued, ignoring my protest. What I said, it wasn't just for show. I've been reading about your work for years, every article, every review. I know. Mom showed me the folder. No, not just the folder. He coughed. I went to your first show, stood in the back. You were so confident, so sure of yourself. Just like you, Mom finished softly. A nurse approached with the first round of medications. This might make you drowsy, she warned. Wait, Dad said. There's more. The day you left, after you stormed out, I looked at your portfolio. My breath caught. What? The sketches you left on my desk. I looked at every single one. They were brilliant. His voice grew fainter as the medication took hold. I was just too proud to admit I was wrong. Why didn't you tell me? But his eyes were already closing. He's been carrying that guilt for 5 years, Mom said, moving to my bedside. Maybe that's punishment enough. Dr. Wells appeared with another syringe. Ready? I nodded, watching the clear liquid enter my IV. The room started to blur around the edges. Mom? I reached for her hand. Will you tell me about Dad, when he played piano? She smiled through tears, stroking my hair like she did when I was small. He was amazing. Used to play late at night when he thought everyone was asleep. Chopin was his favorite. Her voice faded as the drugs pulled me under. I dreamed of music and paint, of letters and gardens, of fathers and daughters trying to break free of inherited fears. When I surfaced, Sasha was there, scrolling through her phone. Welcome back, Sleeping Beauty, she grinned. You'll never guess what's trending. Please tell me they didn't film the transplant. No, but your gallery painting? The one of your dad in the garden? It's gone viral. People are calling it Redemption in Green. Pretentious much? How is he? I tried to sit up, but the room spun. Stable. The doctors are optimistic. She helped me with some water. Corey's been fielding calls from collectors all morning. Apparently, family drama is good for business. Great. My pain is profitable. Hey, she grabbed my hand. Stop that. This stopped being about pain the moment you saw those articles he saved. Admit it. This is about healing now. Before I could argue, Dr. Wells entered with Mom. The preliminary results are good, she announced. The stem cells are doing exactly what we hoped. Can I see him? He's still sedated, but... Mom started. Please. They wheeled my bed into his room. He looked peaceful, younger somehow, without the weight of unspoken words. I found something else, Mom said, pulling out her phone. Listen. She pressed play. Piano music filled the room, Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major. The recording was old, slightly scratchy. Dad? She nodded. From college, before he gave it up. He was good, I whispered. The best, she agreed. Just like you with your art. We're not so different, are we? I watched his chest rise and fall. Both trying to live up to impossible expectations. Both breaking free in your own ways, Sasha added. Mom played another recording, this one of a livelier piece. In his bed, Dad's fingers twitched slightly, muscle memory dancing across invisible keys. When he wakes up, I said, I want to paint him playing, not in the garden this time, at a piano. He'd like that, Mom smiled. And maybe... I hesitated. Maybe he could teach me, if he wants to. Sasha wiped away a suspicious moisture from her eyes. Look at you, going from revenge to piano lessons. Character development much? Shut up, I laughed, then winced as the movement pulled at my IV. In the other bed, Dad stirred slightly. His monitors beeped steadily, strong and sure, like a metronome keeping time for a piece we were just learning to play together. Rest, Mom said, seeing my eyes grow heavy again. You both have plenty of time now. As I drifted off, Chopin's notes wrapped around us like a promise of second chances, of new beginnings painted in shades of forgiveness. The piano notes drifted through my childhood home, hesitant but determined. I followed the sound to the living room, where Dad sat at his newly restored baby grand, fingers moving carefully over the keys. You're rushing the middle section, I said, setting my art supplies down. He smiled without stopping. And you're late for your lesson. Gallery meeting ran long. Apparently, Redemption in Green is being featured in Modern Art Quarterly. The music faltered. That's the garden piece? Mm-hmm. I unpacked my sketchbook. Keep playing. I need to catch your hands at the right angle. He returned to the piece, Chopin, always Chopin, while I sketched. The afternoon sun caught the silver in his hair, the slight tremor in his recovered hands. You're staring, he noted. Artist's prerogative. I smudged a shadow with my thumb. Besides, you stared at my work for 5 years without telling me. Fair enough. He hit a wrong note, cursed softly. It's harder than I remembered. Starting over usually is. The front door opened and Mom's voice called out, "I brought dinner! Sasha and Corey are here too." "Perfect timing," Dad said, closing the piano lid. "I need a break." "Giving up already?" I teased. He gave me a look. "Resting. There's a difference." Sasha burst in, carrying takeout bags. "Ooh, are we finally getting a piano concert?" "Not today," Dad and I said simultaneously. "Creepy," Sasha stage whispered to Corey, who was setting up plates. "They're starting to sink." Mom arranged the food while I cleared away my art supplies. Dad moved to help, but his hands shook slightly. "I've got it," I said quietly. "I'm not made of glass, Ren." "No, but you are recovering from major surgery and a 3-hour piano session." I gestured at the couch. "Sit." He sat, but not without grumbling. "When did you become the parent?" "When you decided to nearly die on me." The room fell silent. We didn't talk about that much. The transplant, the fear, the uncertainty. It was still too raw. "Speaking of parenting," Corey broke the tension. "Show them, babe." I pulled out my phone, opened the email I'd received during the gallery meeting. "Remember that arts education initiative I mentioned? They want me to run their youth program, teaching kids from underprivileged backgrounds." "Ren, that's wonderful," Mom exclaimed. "It's part-time," I continued, watching Dad's reaction. "So I can still paint, still do exhibitions, but also give back, you know?" Dad nodded slowly. "Teaching the next generation to be brave." "Braver than we were," I agreed. "Oh," Sasha jumped up. "Show them the other thing." I shot her a look, but she was already pulling the rolled canvas from my art bag. "Sasha, they'll love it." Dad leaned forward as she unfurled the painting. It showed him at the piano, but not as he was now. This was young Dad, playing with abandon, joy evident in every brushstroke. "How?" Mom's voice cracked. "How did you know what he looked like then?" "Found his old college photos. Plus," I gestured at my face. "Apparently, I looked just like him at that age. Who knew?" Dad touched the canvas gently. "Is this for your office?" I finished. "If you want it. Kind of a thank you for the piano lessons. Even though I'm a terrible teacher, especially because you're a terrible teacher." He laughed, then grew serious. "I don't deserve this." "Maybe not." I sat beside him. "But that's not why I painted it. I painted it because I wanted to capture the moment before fear won, before you gave up your dreams." "I didn't give them up," he said softly. "I just passed them on, in a different form." Sasha pretended to gag. "Okay, enough emotional growth. Can we eat before the food gets cold?" We gathered around the coffee table, passing containers, sharing stories. Mom insisted on hearing about the youth program. Corey talked about the gallery's expansion plans. Dad complained about his physical therapy while secretly looking pleased at his progress. As the evening wound down, he returned to the piano. This time the notes were stronger, more confident. I picked up my sketchbook again. "Still staring," he noted. "Still drawing," I countered. "We've got a lot of lost time to capture." The music swelled, filling the room with possibilities, not of what could have been, but of what could still be. "Hey, Dad?" "I'm glad you were wrong, about art being a mistake." His fingers never stopped moving across the keys. "I'm glad you were strong enough to prove it." I started a new sketch, this one of the present moment. Family gathered close, music in the air, the future an empty canvas waiting to be filled. Not with revenge or regret, but with second chances, played in perfect time.
The video plays on my phone screen, and I can't stop watching my father's smug face as he accepts his promotion to superintendent. His perfectly pressed suit, that rehearsed humble smile, it makes my stomach turn. 4 years, and he still wears the same navy tie with diagonal stripes, the one Mother bought him for their 20th anniversary. My name is Kendra, and I shouldn't care about any of this anymore. I deleted all my family's social media years ago, but Sophie just had to send me this clip. "Thought you should see this," her message read. As if I needed another reminder of the perfect family image they maintain while pretending I don't exist. Is that him? Daniel appears behind me, his hand gentle on my shoulder. You okay? I nod, but my fingers are trembling as I replay the moment where father thanks his loving family for their support. The camera pans to Mother and Emily in the front row, both wearing matching pearl necklaces. My sister's smile is brittle around the edges. I wonder if anyone else notices. What a performance, I mutter, closing the video. Did you catch how he didn't even mention Tyler? Or me? Just his 2 decades of dedication to family values and education. The words taste bitter in my mouth. Daniel sits beside me on our worn leather couch, the one we bought secondhand when we first moved in together. You don't have to watch this stuff, Ken. It's not good for you. No, I needed to see it. I stand up, pacing our small living room. Through the nursery door, I can hear our son's soft breathing during his afternoon nap. They're hosting this big community celebration next month. Everyone who's anyone in the district will be there. Kendra. Daniel's voice carries that note of concern I've grown familiar with. Whatever you're thinking, I'm thinking it's time. I stop pacing, meeting his worried gaze. Time everyone knew what kind of man William Preston really is. What kind of parents abandon their pregnant teenage daughter? What kind of people hide the existence of their disabled son for 30 years? My phone buzzes. Another message from Sophie. This time, it's a link to the event details, complete with press coverage information. My father's face beams from the promotional banner, his campaign slogan beneath, "Building better futures through family values." They made their choice 4 years ago. Daniel reminds me gently. We've built something good here without them. I look at the family photos on our wall. Genuine moments of joy captured with Daniel, our son, Aunt Evelyn, and Uncle Marcus, the family we chose. But there's this hollow space inside me that won't heal, not while they continue spreading their lies. Tyler called yesterday, I say quietly. He wants to meet again. Says he has something important to tell me about father. Daniel's expression shifts. He knows about Tyler now, about the half-brother my parents abandoned long before they abandoned me. The secret that could shatter their carefully constructed facade. My phone buzzes one more time. It's Emily. Saw Sophie sent you the video. Please don't do anything stupid. Some things are better left in the past. I delete her message without responding. Emily made her choice when she married Brian, my ex, the one who walked away when I told him I was pregnant. The perfect couple in my parents' perfect world. Whatever you decide, Daniel says, standing to pull me close. I'm with you. Just be sure it's what you really want. Revenge has a way of burning everyone involved. I lean into his embrace, but my mind is already racing with possibilities. The community celebration is exactly 1 month away. Plenty of time to gather evidence, to connect with Tyler, to plan how we'll finally make them face the truth they've buried for so long. They thought they could just erase us, I whisper. But some stories refuse to stay hidden. In the nursery, our son stirs and lets out a small cry. As I move to comfort him, I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror. I see Mother's chin, Father's eyes, and something entirely my own. Determination. Emily's text arrives while I'm feeding my son his breakfast. Coffee at Marcus and Evelyn's cafe? We need to talk. The message sits there, deceptively casual, as if we're still the sisters who used to share everything. I wipe pureed carrots from Jamie's chin, studying his innocent face. He has Daniel's gentle eyes, thank God. Nothing of Brian in him at all. You don't have to go, Daniel says from behind his laptop, where he's working on his latest design project. Emily made her choice when she married him. But I'm already reaching for my phone. Actually, I do. I type quickly. Noon. Don't bring Brian. The cafe is quiet when I arrive, the lunch rush not yet begun. Uncle Marcus spots me first, his expression darkening slightly. He knows what day it is, the anniversary of when they threw me out. She's in the back corner. He says quietly, squeezing my shoulder. Want me to hover nearby? I shake my head. I've got this. Emily sits primly at our usual table, wearing one of Mother's hand-me-down blazers. Her wedding ring catches the light as she stirs her latte, the ring that should have been mine, before Brian decided a pregnant girlfriend wasn't part of his 5-year plan. "You look tired," she says by way of greeting. "Babies do that." I slide into the seat across from her. "What do you want, Em?" "Mother's worried. She saw you watching Father's speech online, multiple times." Of course she did. Sophie probably told Brian, who told Emily, who told Mother. The perfect information chain. Fascinating how she tracks my online activity but couldn't be bothered to meet her grandson. Emily's perfectly manicured fingers tighten around her cup. "You know how it is. Appearances matter more than actual family?" I cut in. "Yeah, I got that message 4 years ago." A muscle twitches in Emily's jaw. The same tell she had when we were kids, hiding secrets from our parents. "There's more at stake than you realize, Ken. Father's position, the family's reputation." "What about Tyler's position?" The words slip out before I can stop them. Emily goes very still. The color drains from her face, and for a moment I see the sister I used to know. The one who used to sneak into my room late at night, whispering about escape plans we never followed through on. "How do you—" She swallows hard. "Who told you about him?" "Does it matter? What matters is that I know. About our half-brother, about what they did to him. What they did to me wasn't their first time abandoning family." "It wasn't like that," Emily hisses, leaning forward. "Tyler needed specialized care. They couldn't handle—" "Save it." I stand up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. "You know what's funny? I actually came here hoping you'd be different. That maybe you'd finally choose to do the right thing." "Ken, please." Emily grabs my wrist. "Whatever you're planning for the celebration next month, don't. Some secrets need to stay buried." I look down at her hand, at the ring that symbolizes every betrayal between us. Like how you and Brian were seeing each other behind my back months before I got pregnant. That kind of secret? She releases me as if burned. The truth hangs between us, finally spoken after 4 years. "I didn't—" She starts, but can't finish. "Didn't what? Mean to hurt me?" That's the problem with our family, Em. Nobody ever means to hurt anyone. They just do what's best for appearances, for reputation, for Father's precious career. Uncle Marcus appears with a fresh coffee, his timing perfect. "Everything okay here?" "Fine," Emily says quickly, gathering her designer purse. "I should go. Brian's waiting." Of course he is. I watch her retreat, noting how her shoulders hunch slightly. Another tell from our childhood, when she knew she was in the wrong but wouldn't admit it. "You okay, kiddo?" Marcus asks softly. I pull out my phone, opening the message Tyler sent me last night. A photo of him as a child, hidden away in some specialized facility, while Father built his empire of family values and Mother pretended she'd only ever had 2 perfect daughters. "I will be," I say, hitting reply, "once everyone knows the truth." Marcus studies me carefully. "Your aunt might have some things to tell you, about Tyler, about your parents, when you're ready to hear them." I look up sharply, catching the weight in his words. There's more. There's always more with this family. I'm ready now. Aunt Evelyn's hands shake as she pulls the dusty photo album from the top shelf of her closet. We're sitting in her bedroom, the same room where I slept those first few weeks after being thrown out, crying myself to sleep while cradling my growing belly. "Your mother made me swear," she says, settling beside me on the bed. "But I can't keep carrying this anymore." The album's leather cover is cracked, its pages yellowed. A hospital bracelet falls out as she opens it. Faded blue, dated 30 years ago. "Tyler wasn't born with disabilities," Evelyn says quietly. "The accident happened when he was 2. My fingers trace the bracelet. "What accident?" "William was watching him, or supposed to be." She turns a page, revealing a toddler's bright smile. "He was on the phone with the school board about a promotion. Tyler fell down the stairs. The room suddenly feels too small, too warm." I stand up, pacing like I do when Jamie's colicky. Father always said Tyler was born that way, that they couldn't handle a special needs child. Your father says a lot of things. Evelyn's voice carries an edge I've never heard before. Martha wanted to keep him, but William, he said it would ruin his career trajectory. A principal with a disabled son? The community would question his competence. My phone buzzes. Another message from Emily. I ignore it. There's more. Evelyn continues, pulling out an envelope. Medical records, payment arrangements to the facility, all in Martha's name, so nothing would trace back to William. Did Emily know? She was only 5 when it happened. They told her Tyler died. Evelyn's hands clench around the envelope. Marcus and we visited him when we could, until William threatened to ruin Marcus's business if we didn't stop. A photo slips from the album. Tyler at maybe 16, in a wheelchair, Evelyn and Marcus on either side of him. His smile is different now, but his eyes, they're father's eyes, like mine. Why tell me this now? Because Tyler contacted us last week. He's planning to attend William's celebration. She meets my gaze steadily. He wants to tell his story. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a text from an unknown number. We should meet. I have father's old journals. T. The pieces click together. Emily's panic at the cafe, mother's sudden interest in my online activity, father's rushed promotion celebration. They know he's back, I whisper. That's why they're pushing this event so quickly. William's already trying to discredit Tyler, Evelyn confirms, calling him disturbed, unreliable, claims he's just after money. I laugh, but it comes out harsh. Like he claimed I was just being rebellious and irresponsible? Kendra... Evelyn reaches for my hand, but I pull away. No, I'm done with their lies. I grab the envelope of records, my hands steady now. Tyler deserves justice. We both do. My phone lights up with Emily's third message. Mother knows you're at Evelyn's. She found Tyler's letters. Please, Ken, don't do this to the family. The family? I say aloud, my voice rising. What about what they did to us? Evelyn stands, pulling another box from under her bed. There's something else you should see. Letters Martha wrote to Tyler but never sent. And... She hesitates. Documents about other children. Before Tyler. My breath catches. What other children? Your father had another family, before Martha. A wife and daughter who disappeared after threatening to expose his abusive behavior. She pulls out a newspaper clipping, dated 25 years ago. The official story was they moved away, but I stare at the grainy photo of a woman who could be Mother's twin, holding a little girl. The article mentions a custody dispute, then nothing. My phone buzzes one final time. Tyler. I'm outside Evelyn's house. Time to talk about what really happened to Sarah and Rebecca Preston. I look at Evelyn, seeing the weight of decades of secrets in her eyes. Who are Sarah and Rebecca? Your father's first wife and daughter. She hands me the newspaper. And if William finds out you know about them, he'll do worse than just disown you. Some secrets are buried deeper than others. Through the window, I see a car pulling up. A man in a wheelchair emerges with help from his caregiver, my half-brother, the living proof of our father's greatest failure. Then it's time to start digging, I say, gathering the evidence of our family's darkest truths. All of it. Daniel finds me at the kitchen table at 3 a.m, surrounded by father's old journals and Tyler's medical records. The coffee's long gone cold, but my hands won't stop shaking anyway. Jamie's going to be up in a few hours, he says softly, but I barely hear him. Listen to this, I say, pushing a journal entry toward him. March 15th, 1992. Sarah threatened to go public today. Claims she has proof. She doesn't understand what's at stake. My career, my future. Some sacrifices are necessary. I flip through more pages. 2 weeks later, they disappeared. Daniel sits beside me, his designer's eyes scanning the scattered papers. Have you told Tyler about this? He's the one who found the journals, in a storage unit registered to Mother. I run my fingers over the faded ink. Father's first wife and daughter didn't just move away, they vanished. No forwarding address, no school records, nothing. My phone lights up. Emily again. 17 missed calls since yesterday. She knows something. I mutter. Emily was 5 when Tyler had his accident, but she remembers more than she's saying. Ken? Daniel hesitates, choosing his words carefully. What exactly are you planning to do with all this? Before I can answer, another text arrives. From Brian, of all people. Emily's not eating, not sleeping. Whatever you're planning, please stop. I laugh, the sound harsh in our quiet kitchen. Now he cares about someone's well-being? You need to be careful, Daniel says, gathering the scattered papers. These accusations, if they're true, my father's not just a manipulative bastard who abandoned his children. He's... The word sticks in my throat. A knock at the door makes us both jump. It's 4 a.m. No one should be here. Daniel moves toward the door while I quickly shove the papers into a folder. Sophie? Daniel's voice carries his surprise. She bursts in, still wearing her work clothes from the late shift at the hospital. You need to see this. She thrusts her phone at me. It just came across my desk. A Jane Doe from '92. Cold case, recently reopened. My hands go numb as I stare at the photo. A woman in her 30s, found in a ravine 2 counties over. No identification. Cause of death. Inconclusive. Look at her hands, Sophie whispers. The woman's right hand bears a distinctive ring, a silver band with a unique pattern. I've seen that ring before, in the old photos Evelyn showed me. Sarah Preston's wedding ring. There's more, Sophie continues. The detective who reopened the case? He received an anonymous tip last week, right after your father's promotion was announced. Jamie's cry pierces the silence, and I realize I'm gripping the phone so hard my knuckles have gone white. Daniel goes to check on our son, leaving me with Sophie and this horrible revelation. Tyler, I breathe. He must have known. My phone buzzes again. Mother this time. We need to talk. About Sarah. About what really happened that night. The room spins slightly. All my plans for exposing father's hypocrisy at his celebration suddenly seem small, childish even. This isn't about ruined reputations anymore. This is about... Kendra? Sophie touches my arm. What are you going to do? I look at the scattered evidence of my father's crimes. The journals, the medical records, the photos of a dead woman wearing my father's first wife's ring. The celebration is in 3 weeks. Every important person in the district will be there, watching father accept his accolades for being an upstanding pillar of the community. I'm going to need your help, I tell Sophie. Both of you. This isn't just about revenge anymore. Daniel returns with Jamie, our son's presence a stark reminder of what's at stake. One wrong move, and history might repeat itself. Father's already proven what he's capable of when his reputation is threatened. We should call the police, Daniel suggests, but I shake my head. Not yet. First, we need to find Rebecca, Sarah's daughter. If she's still alive, she's the key to everything. I look at the photo of the Jane Doe one more time. And Emily. Emily knows something. She has to. My phone lights up with one final message. Tyler. Found Rebecca. She's been closer than you think. Meet tomorrow? I stare at the text, my heart pounding. Somewhere in the darkness, a car door slams and headlights sweep across our kitchen window. I freeze, wondering if Father already knows what we've discovered. The game has changed. This isn't about family shame anymore. It's about justice. And maybe, just maybe, preventing another tragedy before history repeats itself. The cafe's security cameras catch everything. On Sophie's laptop screen, I watch Emily slip through the back door at midnight, passing a thick envelope to a man whose face stays hidden in shadow. 3 nights before Father's celebration. Play it again, Tyler says from beside me, his wheelchair positioned at the perfect angle to see the screen. We've been holed up in Sophie's apartment for hours, reviewing footage Marcus secretly installed after Emily's suspicious visits. The timestamp matches when father made that call to the detective, Sophie points out, rewinding the video. The one who suddenly dropped the reopened investigation into Sarah's case. My fingers drum against the table, muscle memory from years of anxiety under father's roof. Emily's always been their perfect messenger. Clean hands, spotless reputation. Unlike some of us, Tyler says with a bitter smile, gesturing to himself. The door opens and Daniel enters with takeout bags. Jamie's down for his nap at your aunt's, he tells me, but his eyes linger on the scattered evidence across Sophie's dining table. News clippings, medical records, father's journals, a paper trail of destroyed lives. My phone buzzes. Mother, Emily told us everything. About the cameras, about Tyler. Please, sweetheart, let's discuss this privately. Family matters should stay within the family. Family matters. I echo, the words tasting like ash. Like Sarah's murder was a family matter? Tyler's hand finds mine, squeezing gently. We're close, Ken. The celebration's the perfect moment. Everyone who matters will be there, watching their perfect superintendent accept his accolades. While wearing the watch he took from Sarah's body, Sophie adds, pulling up another photo. The distinctive gold timepiece gleams on father's wrist in every public appearance since 1992. My phone buzzes again. Emily this time. They know about Rebecca. She's not safe anymore. The room tilts slightly. What does she mean they know about Rebecca? Daniel asks, but I'm already dialing Aunt Evelyn's number. No answer. Marcus said Emily's been asking about old storage units, Sophie says quietly. One's registered to your mother. The pieces click together with horrifying clarity. She's not just their messenger anymore, I whisper. She's their cleaner, like mother was for father after Sarah. Tyler's wheelchair scrapes against the floor as he turns to face me fully. There's something I haven't told you, he says, his voice tight. About Rebecca. About why I really came back. But before he can continue, Sophie's laptop pings with an alert. New security footage, live from the cafe. Emily again, but this time she's not alone. A woman stands with her, their bodies tense in conversation. The woman's face is partially hidden, but I recognize the gesture she makes. The same nervous hair twist I do when stressed. Rebecca, Tyler breathes. My phone lights up with a final message from father. The celebration begins at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Your sister tells me you've been quite busy. Remember, Kendra, everything I've done has been to protect this family. Don't make me protect it from you too. Daniel moves behind me, his hand warm on my shoulder. We should call the police. With what evidence? Sophie counters. Everything we have is circumstantial. And if Emily's warning about Rebecca is true, we need to move now, Tyler says firmly, before they can hide her again, or worse. I stare at the footage, at Emily and Rebecca locked in their tense exchange. My perfect sister, father's loyal soldier, standing face to face with the daughter he erased 30 years ago. The celebration's elaborate plans mock us from a browser tab. Speeches, awards, community leaders gathered to honor William Preston's legacy of family values and educational excellence. No, I say, standing abruptly. We're done hiding in the shadows. They want to keep this in the family? I grab father's journal, the one detailing Sarah's final days. Then let's make it a proper family reunion. Kendra. Daniel starts, but I cut him off. Call Marcus. Tell him to get Aunt Evelyn somewhere safe. Sophie, keep monitoring those cameras. And Tyler. I meet my brother's eyes, seeing my own determination reflected back. It's time to tell me everything about Rebecca. No more secrets. My phone buzzes one last time. An unknown number. Hello, little sister. We should talk before tomorrow. About father, about Sarah. About what really happens to people who threaten the Preston family name. The message is signed simply, R. The game has changed. Tomorrow's celebration won't just expose father's hypocrisy. It'll either end his reign of terror or add more names to his list of family casualties. And I'm done being afraid of making his precious list. The celebration hall gleams with false promises. Father stands at the podium, his superintendent's medal catching the light as he delivers his speech about family values and educational excellence. Mother and Emily sit in the front row. Perfect posture, perfect smiles, perfect lies. I clutch Tyler's evidence folder backstage, waiting for my cue. Daniel's text flashes on my phone. Police are here, ready when you are. But something's wrong. Emily's chair is empty now, and Rebecca hasn't answered since our meeting last night. Ladies and gentlemen, Father's voice booms through the speakers. Family isn't just about blood, it's about choices. My phone buzzes again. Unknown number. Check the basement storage room. Now. I shouldn't go alone. Should wait for Daniel, for Sophie, for the police. But my feet are already moving, carrying me down the service stairs. The basement lights flicker, casting shadows that remind me of childhood hiding places. The storage room door is ajar. Inside, Emily stands over an open filing cabinet, feeding documents into a portable shredder. You're too late, she says without turning around. Mother's already moved Rebecca, just like they moved Tyler all those years ago. Where is she? Safe. Safer than Sarah was, anyway. Emily's hands pause on a familiar-looking journal. Did you really think Father wouldn't have contingency plans? That he'd let you ruin everything he's built? Footsteps behind me. Mother's voice, soft and deadly. Oh, sweetheart, you should have stayed away. I spin around. Mother holds something in her hand. Sarah's watch. The twin to the one Father wears. The one missing from the evidence photos. Rebecca was never going to help you. Mother continues. She's been working with us for years. Who do you think kept Tyler's location secret? Who do you think made sure Sarah's case stayed cold? The realization hits like a physical blow. She's not Father's victim. She's his accomplice. She's family, Emily corrects, closing the now empty cabinet. The kind that understands what loyalty means. Upstairs, applause erupts as Father concludes his speech. Through the ceiling, I hear him introducing the next speaker, Rebecca herself, his surprise guest of honor. A touching story of reconciliation, Mother says, her smile sharp as broken glass. The long-lost daughter returning to support her father's legacy, much more compelling than your bitter accusations. My phone is dead. The evidence folder feels impossibly heavy. Tyler. I start, but Emily laughs. Had an unfortunate accident on his way here. Nothing fatal, just delayed. Indefinitely. The basement door clicks shut. Brian's voice carries through. All clear up here, sir. Ready when you are. Father's footsteps descend the stairs, each step echoing like a judge's gavel. He appears in the doorway, superintendent's medal gleaming. Sarah's watch on his wrist matching the one in Mother's hand. I tried to protect you from this, Kendra, he says, his voice carrying that familiar disappointment. Tried to teach you about family loyalty, but you're just like Sarah, too stubborn to understand the greater good. The greater good? My voice cracks. You killed her. She killed herself, Mother corrects smoothly, just like you're about to do. The guilt of false accusations, the shame of trying to ruin your father's special day. The note's already in your handwriting. Emily's quite good at that. The shredder whirs one final time, destroying the last of Tyler's evidence. Above us, Rebecca's voice carries through the speakers, telling a heartwarming story of forgiveness and family redemption. Father steps closer, his shadow falling over me like it did when I was small. The question is, Kendra, will you finally make the right choice? For your son's sake? The basement feels smaller suddenly, the walls closing in. Mother holds out a glass of water, 2 white pills nestled in her other palm. Emily watches with that perfect practice smile. Through the ceiling, applause thunders as Rebecca concludes her speech about the power of family bonds. My phone stays dark. Daniel doesn't come. Sophie doesn't come. The police don't come. The Preston family takes care of its own. Father's watch catches the light again. Sarah's last possession, worn like a trophy. In Mother's hand, its twin gleams with accusation. And somewhere above, Rebecca, the daughter who chose loyalty over justice, continues to sell their perfect lie to a crowd eager to believe in happy endings. "Come now, sweetheart," Mother says softly, stepping forward with the pills. "It's time to make things right." The basement lights flicker as Mother holds out the pills. Behind her, Father's shadow looms larger than life. But something catches my eye. A reflection in the watch on his wrist. A tiny red light, blinking steadily. Sophie's wireless camera, still transmitting. I take the glass of water, hand trembling. "Before I do this, I want to know one thing." My voice breaks perfectly, just like Emily taught me when we were kids, practicing how to cry on command. "Did Sarah beg?" Father's composure cracks just slightly. "She made her choice. Like Rebecca made hers?" I lift the glass. "To help you hide everything?" Rebecca understood what family means. Mother says smoothly. "What loyalty means." A noise upstairs. Footsteps, then Rebecca's voice cutting through the speakers. What loyalty meant was watching my mother die, standing guard while William Preston buried her in that ravine. I was 7 years old. Father lunges for the basement door, but it's already locked from the outside. Emily's perfect mask shatters as she realizes what's happening. "You didn't actually think I'd trust you again, did you, Em?" My hands steady now, I set down the untouched glass. "Not after Brian. Not after Tyler." Through the ceiling, Rebecca continues, her voice carrying to every corner of the celebration hall. "I played my part. The prodigal daughter returned to support her father's legacy. But every word, every meeting, every confession, it's all been recorded. Mother's hand shoots out, but I'm faster. The watch slips from her grasp, clattering across the floor. Tyler's accident wasn't an accident, I say, loud enough for Sophie's camera to catch. Was it, Father? You ungrateful... He starts forward, but freezes at the sound of police sirens. The thing about perfect families, I continue, backing toward the corner where the camera's hidden, is that they keep such detailed records. Mother's charitable foundation? Fascinating paper trail. All those payments to keep people quiet. Emily makes a small broken sound. The shredder was empty. Everything you thought you destroyed, already uploaded. Live streaming right now along with this entire conversation. Rebecca's voice cuts through again. My mother wasn't his first victim, but she'll be his last. The basement door bursts open. Daniel leads the charge, followed by police officers. Behind them, I glimpse Tyler in his wheelchair, very much alive and holding a tablet displaying multiple camera feeds. William Preston, an officer steps forward. You're under arrest for the murder of Sarah Preston, and Father moves with unexpected speed, reaching into his jacket. But before anyone can react, Emily throws herself between us. Don't, she screams. Please, Daddy, don't make it worse. The gun clatters to the floor. Emily kicks it away, her perfect posture finally breaking as she sobs. I wanted to believe in you, she whispers, both of you. But Ken was right. You never loved us. We were just props in your perfect family picture. Mother lunges for the gun, but Rebecca appears in the doorway, Sarah's missing diary in her hands. It's over, Martha. All of it. As the officers move in, Father's facade crumbles completely. Everything I did, he snarls, was for this family's reputation. No, I say quietly, watching them handcuff my parents. Everything you did was for yourself. And now everyone knows exactly who you are. Emily stands frozen between us, torn between her lifetime of loyalty and the truth she can no longer deny. Finally, she turns to me. I'm sorry, she whispers. About Brian, about Tyler, about everything. I was so scared of becoming you that I became them instead. Upstairs, the celebration hall erupts with chaos as Rebecca finishes playing the recordings. 30 years of secrets, exposed in a single night. Daniel reaches for my hand as the officers lead my parents away. Through the basement door, I see Tyler and Sophie dismantling their surveillance setup, while Rebecca clutches her mother's diary, shoulders finally unburdened of its secrets. Was it worth it? Emily asks softly. All of this? I look at the scattered pieces of our family's facade. Mother's mask of perfection shattered. Father's legacy in ruins. The truth finally exposed to the light. Ask me again in 20 years, I reply, watching the last Preston family secret disappear into a police car. When we've all had time to build something real from these ashes. The courtroom empties slowly after the verdict. Life without parole for father, 15 years for mother. Justice served in clean, measured sentences that can't begin to capture 30 years of manipulation and murder. Emily lingers in the back row, clutching Brian's divorce papers. She hasn't signed them yet, but her wedding ring is gone. You did the right thing, Rebecca says, touching my arm. She's wearing Sarah's watch now, recovered from evidence after the trial. Your testimony, it gave others courage to come forward. Through the window, reporters cluster on the courthouse steps, hungry for statements about William Preston's fall from grace. Tyler watches them from his wheelchair, his memoir already climbing bestseller lists. Ken. Emily's voice is small, nothing like the perfect Preston daughter she used to be. There's something else you should know about Jamie. My heart stutters. What about my son? Father. He was planning to take him. The night of the celebration. He had papers drawn up claiming you were unfit. That's why She swallows hard. That's why I finally helped you. I couldn't let him destroy another child. The revelation hits like a physical blow. Daniel's hand finds mine, steady and warm. The Preston family legacy, Tyler says bitterly. Always about the children they could control. But Emily isn't finished. There's more. Other families, other children, Mother's Charity Foundation. It wasn't just about hiding their crimes. They were collecting information, building files on anyone who might threaten their image. Rebecca pulls out her phone, showing us a downloaded database. Hundreds of names, dates, secrets. The true extent of my parents' web of control. What do we do with it? Sophie asks quietly. I think of Jamie, safe at home with Aunt Evelyn. Of the childhood Tyler lost, the mother Rebecca mourned, the sister Emily almost became. Of all the other families wounded by my father's obsession with perfection. We burn it, I decide. All of it. Let their secrets die with their power. But, Emily starts. No more revenge, no more exposing people's pain. We end it here. Tyler nods slowly, understanding. Break the cycle. Outside, the reporter's cameras flash as father's lawyer makes a statement. Through the glass, I watch my father's carefully crafted world crumble into headlines and sound bites. I should have protected you. Emily whispers. Both of you. All of us. You can protect others now, Rebecca says. Help us make sure this never happens again. Daniel squeezes my hand. Ready to go home? But before I can answer, a court clerk approaches with an envelope. This was found in William Preston's cell this morning, addressed to Kendra. Inside is a single photograph. Father and mother on their wedding day, young and smiling. But it's what's written on the back that makes my blood freeze. Ask your mother about her sister. Some family secrets even I couldn't control. Emily looks over my shoulder, her face paling. Mother had a sister? The photograph trembles in my hands. Another legacy of lies waiting to be unraveled. Another generation of Preston secrets threatening to surface. But looking at my chosen family, Daniel's unwavering support, Tyler's hard-won strength, Rebecca's quiet resilience, even Emily's stumbling steps toward redemption, I realize something important. It doesn't matter, I say, tearing the photograph in half. Whatever secrets are left, they don't control us anymore. The pieces flutter to the floor like autumn leaves, leaving behind the taste of something that feels almost like freedom. Almost. As we leave the courthouse, Tyler hands me a flash drive. Security footage from Father's office. There's more about Mother's sister, about others. I pocket the drive without looking at it. Some truths can wait. Some battles can be fought another day. For now, Jamie needs his mother. Daniel needs his wife. and I need to learn how to live without the weight of revenge pressing against my ribs. The reporters surge forward, microphones thrust like weapons, asking how it feels to destroy my own family. I think of the torn photograph, of Emily's unsigned divorce papers, of Tyler's best-selling truth, of Rebecca's quiet victory, of all the ways family can break and rebuild and transform. You can't destroy what was never real, I tell them, and walk into the sunlight, leaving the Preston family legacy behind in the shadows where it belongs. Almost.
I stare at the pink slip in my hands, the words, "Termination effective immediately," swimming before my eyes like cruel little fish. 10 years of dedication to the Riverside Public Library, reduced to a single sheet of paper and a box of personal belongings. "I'm sorry, Sarah," Director Thompson says, not meeting my eyes. His hands fidget with a gold pen, the same one I'd given him last Christmas. "It's out of my hands. The board's decision is final." The lie in his voice is as clear as the afternoon sun streaming through his office window. I've known this man for a decade, watched him stammer through budget meetings and celebration speeches. He's never been good at deception. "Who made the call?" I ask, my voice steadier than I expect. "Really made it?" He clicks the pen repeatedly, a nervous tick I've seen 1,000 times. "I can't discuss that. Legal reasons. You understand?" I don't understand. Not at all. But I gather what's left of my dignity and stand up, the chair scraping against the floor with a sound like fingernails on a chalkboard. "Of course, legal reasons." The words taste like vinegar on my tongue. My box sits on my desk, hastily packed by someone else's hands. My carefully curated reading recommendations for the children's section are already gone, replaced by generic bestseller lists. They didn't waste any time erasing me. Emily catches me at the front desk, her face flushed with anger. "This is bullshit, Sarah. Complete bullshit. They can't just..." "They can," I cut her off, shifting the box in my arms. "They did. But your programs, the literacy initiative, someone else will handle it." The words come out sharper than intended, making Emily flinch. "Sorry, I need to process this." The walk to my car feels like a walk of shame, even though I've done nothing wrong. My mind races through possible reasons. Budget cuts, personal vendetta, the recent divorce making me appear unstable. None of it makes sense. My phone buzzes as I reach the parking lot. Unknown number. "Hello? Miss Mitchell?" A man's voice, smooth as aged whiskey. "I couldn't help but notice your situation at the library. Perhaps we could discuss some opportunities over coffee?" I should hang up. Strange men calling at precisely the wrong moment screams, "Trap." But something in his voice holds me there, like a hook caught in tender flesh. Who is this? Ryan Harper. The name means nothing to me, but the confidence in his tone suggests it should. "I have a proposition that might interest you, given your current circumstances." "My current circumstances happened 10 minutes ago." He chuckles, the sound rich and warm. "News travels fast in certain circles. The daily grind, 30 minutes. I'll be the one with the Wall Street Journal and an espresso." I should say no. Should go home, curl up with a bottle of wine, and lick my wounds. But anger and curiosity make a dangerous cocktail. 45 minutes, I counter. I need to drop some things at home. "Perfect. And Miss Mitchell? I'm truly sorry about the library. It's not right what they did to you." The line goes dead before I can respond. I sit in my car, staring at the box of memories in my passenger seat, and feel something shift inside me. The familiar comfort of books and routine crumbles away, revealing something harder underneath, something that wants answers. My phone buzzes again. Emily, probably checking on me. I ignore it. Whatever game this Ryan Harper is playing, whatever circles he moves in that knew about my firing before it happened, I'm going to find out. Because one thing's become crystal clear. This wasn't a simple termination. This was a calculated move in someone else's game, and I'm tired of being a pawn. The daily grind hums with afternoon activity as I spot Ryan Harper exactly where he said he'd be. His tailored suit stands out among the casual crowd like a shark in a goldfish pond. He rises when I approach, and I notice his smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. "Miss Mitchell, thank you for coming." He gestures to the chair across from him. A steaming cup already waits for me. My usual order, somehow. "How did you know what I drink?" "Lucky guess." He slides the cup closer. "Most librarians I know prefer their coffee like their books, complex and thoughtfully prepared." I leave the cup untouched. "Most librarians you know? And how many would that be?" His laugh is practiced, precise. "Point taken. I did my homework before reaching out. Your reputation at Riverside was impressive. The children's literacy program in particular caught my attention. You still haven't explained why I'm here." Direct. I like that. He leans forward, lowering his voice. "What if I told you I could offer you something better than your position at the library? Something that would make today's unpleasantness seem like a blessing in disguise?" My phone buzzes again, Emily's third attempt to reach me. I silence it without looking away from Ryan's face. "I'd say that timing is everything, and yours is suspiciously perfect." Sometimes opportunity knocks at unexpected moments. He pulls out a business card, sliding it across the table. The paper feels expensive between my fingers. "My family's foundation is launching a new educational initiative. We need someone with your expertise to oversee it." "The Harper Foundation," I read aloud. "The logo looks familiar. I've seen it on donor plaques around town." "Why me?" "Because you understand the importance of stories, of shaping narratives." Something shifts in his expression, almost imperceptible. "The position comes with significant resources at your disposal, complete creative control. And what's the catch?" "Dinner." He says it simply, like he's suggesting a handshake. "With my parents this Saturday. They'll want to meet the person who'll be handling such a delicate project." My coffee sits untouched, growing cold. "You orchestrated my firing, didn't you?" Instead of denying it, he studies me with newfound interest. "Would it matter if I did? The outcome remains the same. You need a job, and I'm offering you an opportunity that could change your life." That's not a no. "No, it's not." He reaches across the table, his fingers brushing mine as he retrieves his business card. 7 o'clock Saturday. The address is on the back. Wear something elegant. My mother notices these things. I should walk away. Every instinct screams that I'm being manipulated, moved like a piece on a chessboard. But curiosity burns stronger than caution. Why go to all this trouble? You could have just approached me at the library. Some doors need to close before others can open. He stands, adjusting his cuffs with practiced precision. Besides, I find that people are most interesting when they're knocked off balance, shows their true character. As he turns to leave, I call after him. "And what if I don't show up?" He pauses, that same calculated smile playing at his lips. "Then you'll never know why the board was so eager to let you go, will you?" The cafe feels colder after he leaves. I finally take a sip of the coffee he ordered. Perfect temperature, exactly how I like it. My phone buzzes again, this time with a text from Emily. "Where are you? We need to talk about what happened." I stare at the message, then at the business card still on the table. Ryan's words echo in my head. Some doors need to close before others can open. He's right about one thing. I want answers. But as I pick up the card and run my thumb across the embossed lettering, I can't shake the feeling that I'm about to walk through a door that won't easily close behind me. Saturday's dinner invitation sits like a weight in my pocket, a ticket to either salvation or damnation. Only one way to find out which. I text Emily back. "Rain check. Something came up." Then I add the Harper Foundation's address to my calendar, already wondering what elegant means to people who can orchestrate someone's firing with a snap of their fingers. Game on, Ryan Harper. Game on. The Harper Mansion looms before me like something out of a Gothic novel, all sharp angles and dark windows. Victoria Harper's smile is equally sharp as she opens the door, her pearl necklace catching the evening light. "Sarah, darling, right on time." Her perfume wraps around me like expensive chains. "Ryan speaks so highly of you." The foyer could swallow my entire apartment. Family portraits line the walls. generations of Harpers staring down with identical calculated smiles. Ryan appears at my elbow, his hand settling at the small of my back. "Mother, you're hovering." "Nonsense. I'm being welcoming." Victoria's eyes flick over my dress, the most expensive thing I own, and clearly not expensive enough. "Daniel's in the study. Why don't you show Sarah around while I check on dinner?" Ryan guides me through rooms that feel more like museum exhibits than living spaces. In the study, Daniel Harper barely looks up from his laptop. "Welcome to the family business," he says, as if my presence is already a foregone conclusion. The word family catches in my throat like a fishhook. During dinner, Victoria orchestrates the conversation like a conductor, each topic carefully selected. "Ryan tells us you're quite the expert on community engagement," she says, cutting into her perfectly cooked salmon. "Such a shame about the library. Politics can be so messy." "Politics?" I set down my fork. I was told it was a budget issue. "Oh, everything's politics these days." Victoria waves her hand dismissively. The right word in the right ear, and suddenly budgets appear or disappear. Fascinating process, really. Ryan tenses beside me. I feel the trap closing, but can't see its shape yet. "Speaking of processes," Daniel interjects, "have you considered our offer, Sarah, the foundation position?" "I'm still evaluating my options." Victoria's smile tightens. "Options, dear, in this economy? Besides, we're offering you something quite special. The Foundation's new literacy initiative could use someone with your particular background." "My background as a recently fired librarian?" "Your background as someone who understands loss," Victoria says softly, "and the importance of securing one's future." The room suddenly feels airless. Ryan's hand finds mine under the table, but I can't tell if it's meant to comfort or restrain. "Mother," Ryan starts, but Victoria cuts him off. "I'm simply being honest, dear. Sarah's clearly intelligent. She must understand what we're offering." "And what exactly is that?" I ask, though I already know the answer won't be the truth. "Security, influence, family." Victoria sets down her wine glass with precise movements. "Things I imagine you've been missing since your divorce. Speaking of which, how is Thomas enjoying his new position at Sterling and Myers? The law firm partnership suits him, I hear." The pieces click into place with nauseating clarity. My ex-husband's sudden career jump, the library board's unexpected decision, the Harper Foundation's timely offer. "You've been watching me," I say. "Planning this." "Planning implies calculation," Victoria corrects. "We prefer to think of it as creating opportunities." "For whom?" "For all of us." Daniel finally looks up from his plate. "The Foundation needs fresh blood, new perspectives, and you need a safety net." "What I need," I push back from the table, "is air." Ryan follows me onto the terrace, closing the French doors behind us. "Sarah, wait. It's not what you think." "Really?" "Because I think your family orchestrated my firing, manipulated my ex-husband's career, and is now trying to buy me with some vague promise of security. They're trying to help. Help who, Ryan? Them? You? Because it sure as hell isn't me." He runs a hand through his hair, frustration breaking through his polished veneer. "You don't understand how they operate. Everything's a transaction to them, even love." "Is that what this is? Love?" The question hangs between us like smoke. Inside, I can see Victoria watching through the window, her expression unreadable. "Come back inside," Ryan pleads. "Let me explain." But I'm already moving toward the driveway, my heels clicking against the stone path like tiny hammers nailing shut a coffin. Behind me, I hear Victoria's voice drift through the open window. "Let her go, darling. She'll be back. They always come back when they run out of options." I pause at my car, looking back at the mansion. Ryan stands frozen on the terrace, caught between his mother's shadow and the fading light. For a moment, I almost pity him. Almost. The letter arrives on expensive cream paper, hand-delivered to my apartment. Inside, a single sheet contains life-changing news. My great-aunt Eleanor, whom I'd met exactly twice, has left me her entire estate. The inheritance that would solve all my problems. Except for one detail. Victoria Harper is the executor. I'm still staring at the letter when Emily bursts through my door. "You need to see this." She thrusts her tablet at me, displaying a news article about the Harper Foundation's latest acquisition, the Riverside Public Library building. "They're converting it into a private research facility," Emily says, watching my face. "Guess who's leading the project?" "Thomas." My ex-husband's name tastes like copper in my mouth. "They're all connected, aren't they?" "There's more." Emily swipes to another article. "Ryan's been appointed to the city council. The vote was unanimous." A knock at the door makes us both jump. Ryan stands there looking less polished than usual. "We need to talk." Emily moves between us. She's not interested. "It's about Eleanor Mitchell's estate." His eyes meet mine. "Mother's making her move tomorrow." I let him in, despite Emily's warning glare. He paces my small living room like a caged animal. "The foundation position, the library, Thomas. It was all groundwork," he says. "They needed control of your assets before—" He stops abruptly. "Before what?" "Before the merger." He runs a hand through his disheveled hair. "Harper Industries is bleeding money. They need Eleanor's estate to shore up the losses. Mother's planning to declare you mentally unfit to manage the inheritance." Emily curses under her breath. I feel oddly calm, like I'm watching this happen to someone else. "She can't do that," Emily protests. "Sarah's perfectly competent." She has Thomas's testimony about Sarah's emotional instability during the divorce, the library board's statement about her erratic behavior. It's all fabricated, but it's enough, I finish. That's why she wanted me at the foundation, to document my decisions, build a case. Ryan nods, not meeting my eyes. I tried to stop it, but you're a coward. The words come out flat, factual. "Sarah, why tell me now?" He finally looks at me. "Because I found out what happened to Eleanor Mitchell. She didn't die of natural causes." The room goes silent. Emily's hand finds mine, squeezing hard. Mother arranged for her medication to be adjusted. She'd been planning this for months, waiting for the right moment. When you lost your job, became vulnerable. He trails off. "Get out." My voice doesn't shake, neither do my hands. "Sarah, please, I'm trying to help." "Like you helped Eleanor?" The calm starts cracking. "Get out." He leaves a file on my coffee table before going. "Everything you need to know is in here. But be careful. Mother's having you watched." After he's gone, Emily starts making calls to lawyer friends. I open the file with trembling fingers. Inside, I find documentation of Victoria's schemes, emails, financial records, medical reports, a paper trail of destruction. My phone buzzes with a text from Victoria. "Dinner tomorrow? We should discuss Eleanor's estate. Your future depends on it." Emily looks up from her phone. "Marcus Flynn called back. He's willing to meet tonight." "Who's Marcus Flynn?" "Former Harper Industries executive, left under mysterious circumstances last year. Says he has information we need." I stare at Victoria's text, thinking about Eleanor, about the library, about all the lives the Harpers have casually destroyed. "Tell him I'll be there." "Sarah," Emily hesitates. "Are you sure about this? These people are dangerous." I pick up Eleanor's letter, running my fingers over the expensive paper. They think I'm just another pawn, someone to manipulate and discard. I meet Emily's worried gaze. But they forgot something important. What's that? In chess, a pawn that reaches the other side of the board becomes a queen. I type a response to Victoria. "Looking forward to it." The pieces are set. Tomorrow, Victoria expects to meet a broken woman ready to surrender her inheritance. Instead, she'll meet someone else entirely, someone who knows how to play the game. Marcus Flynn's office sits above a closed pawn shop, the kind of place the Harpers wouldn't deign to notice. Perfect for plotting their downfall. Victoria's pattern is consistent, Marcus says, spreading photographs across his desk. She finds vulnerable people with valuable assets, integrates them into the family's orbit, then destroys them systematically. The photos show familiar faces, all people who'd crossed paths with the Harpers, all broken in different ways. My phone buzzes with a text from Lily. Why is Victoria Harper asking me about your mental health? My hands clench. They're targeting my sister. Of course they are. Marcus's voice carries the weight of experience. Victoria likes to create pressure points. Your sister, your job, your reputation. She'll use everything. You sound like you know her well. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. I was chief financial officer at Harper Industries for 15 years, until I discovered irregularities in their charitable foundation's accounts. Next thing I knew, my wife was leaving me over fabricated evidence of an affair, and my teenage daughter wouldn't speak to me. Emily shifts in her chair. Why help Sarah? Why now? Because Victoria made a mistake with Eleanor Mitchell's estate. She got sloppy, left traces. He pulls out another file, including this. The document shows a series of transfers from Harper Industries to offshore accounts, each coinciding with a death or disappearance. Eleanor's name is the last on the list. My phone buzzes again. Ryan. Mother's meeting with the probate judge tomorrow. Whatever you're planning, do it fast. They're moving faster than we thought, I say. Marcus nods. Victoria's desperate. Harper Industries is hemorrhaging money. Without Eleanor's estate, they'll lose everything, Emily finishes. Not just money. Marcus's expression darkens. Power. Control. Victoria's entire identity is built on being untouchable. Take that away. My phone rings. Lily again. This time I answer. Sarah? Her voice trembles. Victoria's here at my apartment. She says she's worried about you, that you're having some kind of breakdown. She brought papers for me to sign. Don't sign anything. My voice sounds strange in my ears. I'm coming over. There's someone else here too. Thomas? Your ex? They're saying... The line goes dead. Emily's already grabbing her keys, but Marcus stops us. Wait, this is exactly what Victoria wants, to force you into making a mistake. That's my sister. And if you rush in without a plan, you'll lose everything, including any chance of helping Lily. He's right, but every second feels like betrayal. I force myself to think like Victoria, calculate moves and counter moves. The probate hearing, I say slowly. What if we let Victoria win? Emily stares at me. Have you lost your mind? No. Marcus leans forward. She's thinking like a chess player. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a piece to win the game. My phone buzzes one final time. Victoria. Lovely chat with Lily. She's so concerned about you, dear. Shall we discuss terms? I show them the message. Victoria thinks she has all the pieces in place, so let's let her think she's won. While we set up the real endgame, Marcus agrees. But Sarah, you need to understand, once we start this, there's no going back. Victoria won't just try to destroy you. She'll annihilate everything you care about. I think about Eleanor, about Lily, about all the lives Victoria has casually ruined, about the look in Ryan's eyes when he finally chose to warn me. Too little, too late. Good, I say, and my voice sounds like someone else's, someone harder. Because I'm going to do the same to her. Emily touches my arm. Sarah, this isn't about revenge anymore. I pick up one of Marcus's photographs, a family much like mine, now broken beyond repair. This is about justice, about making sure Victoria Harper never hurts another family again. Marcus gathers the files with practiced efficiency. Then let's begin. But remember, from this moment on, trust no one. Not Ryan, not the police, not even me. Why not you? His smile turns bitter. Because everyone has something to lose, and Victoria's very good at finding out what that is. I send Victoria a response. Terms, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Then I turn off my phone and start learning how to destroy the woman who thought she could own me. Tomorrow, Victoria Harper will think she's won everything, and that's exactly when she'll start losing it all. The probate hearing feels like a carefully orchestrated play, with Victoria Harper as both director and star. She sits across from me in the judge's chambers, perfectly composed in Chanel, while I deliberately let my hands shake as I hold the papers. Miss Mitchell appears unable to manage her affairs, Victoria says softly, concern dripping from every syllable. The recent erratic behavior, the job loss, the emotional instability. My lawyer, carefully chosen by Marcus for this performance, makes a weak protest. Judge Harrison barely glances up from the documentation. And you're willing to assume responsibility for the estate's management, Mrs. Harper? It's the least we can do for poor Eleanor's niece. I sign the papers with trembling fingers, playing my part. Victoria's smile widens fractionally, a predator's satisfaction at a clean kill. But as we leave the chambers, Emily rushes in, her face ashen. "Sarah, it's Lily. She's in the hospital." The performance drops away like shattered glass. "What?" "Apparent overdose," Emily says, watching Victoria from the corner of her eye. "They found prescription medications." Victoria touches my arm, her grip steel beneath silk. "My dear, this only proves we made the right decision. You need to focus on your sister now, not worry about managing an estate." I pull away, already running. Behind me, I hear Victoria's measured steps following at a careful distance, close enough to show concern, far enough to deny involvement. At the hospital, Thomas stands outside Lily's room, looking uncomfortable in his expensive suit. My ex-husband, now Victoria's puppet, blocking my path. "You can't go in," he says. "They're reviewing her psychiatric hold." Psychiatric hold? Given her state when they found her and the notes. What notes? He pulls out his phone, shows me texts supposedly from Lily about my unstable behavior, my paranoid accusations against the Harpers, my declining mental state, all perfectly crafted to support Victoria's narrative. "You helped them do this," I realize. To my sister. "Sarah, you need help. We're all worried." Ryan appears from around the corner, his face tight. "Father's calling an emergency board meeting. They're announcing the merger tomorrow." "Merger?" The pieces click together with sickening clarity. "You're selling Harper Industries." "Restructuring," Ryan corrects, not meeting my eyes. "Once Mother has control of Eleanor's estate, the company's debt disappears," I finish. "And Lily? Was putting my sister in the hospital part of the restructuring plan?" Victoria appears behind me, her voice carrying just far enough for nearby nurses to hear. "Dear, you're getting agitated again. Perhaps you should let the doctors examine you while you're here?" I feel the trap closing. The concerned family members, the documented instability, the convenient timing. One wrong move and I'll join Lily under psychiatric observation. My phone buzzes. "Marcus, don't react. Everything's proceeding as planned." But the plan didn't account for Lily, for Victoria, crossing this line. Ryan touches my arm. "Sarah, please, just let us help." I jerk away, my voice rising deliberately. "Help? Like you helped Eleanor?" Victoria's mask slips for just a moment. Fear flickers behind her eyes. "Security," Thomas calls right on cue. "We need assistance here." As security approaches, I let them see exactly what Victoria wants them to see. An unstable woman having a breakdown. I struggle just enough to seem erratic but not dangerous. "Take care of my sister," I tell Emily as they lead me away. "Don't let them near her." Victoria watches from the doorway, victory written in every line of her perfect posture. She thinks she's won everything: the estate, the company, my freedom, my sister. She doesn't see Marcus in the parking lot, recording everything. Doesn't notice Emily slipping a nurse a thumb drive. Doesn't realize that sometimes, to win the game, you have to sacrifice your queen. In the security office, waiting for the psychiatric evaluation that Victoria undoubtedly arranged, I close my eyes and think of Eleanor, of Lily, of all the pieces Victoria moved so carefully into place. My phone buzzes one last time. "Marcus. Files delivered. Tomorrow's board meeting will be interesting." I delete the message just as the doctor arrives, his clipboard already full of Victoria's carefully crafted concerns. Time to play my final role, the pawn who didn't realize she was about to become a queen. Tomorrow, Victoria Harper will learn that the game isn't over until the last piece falls, and I intend to make sure that piece is her. The Harper Industries boardroom buzzes with tension as Victoria takes her place at the head of the table. I watch through the security feed from Marcus's laptop, surrounded by federal agents in an unmarked van outside. "The merger documentation is complete," Victoria announces to the board. "With the Mitchell estate securing our position?" The boardroom door swings open. Ryan walks in, followed by Emily and a stone-faced woman in a federal jacket. "Actually, Mother," Ryan says, his voice steady, We should discuss the irregularities in the foundation's accounts first. Victoria's smile doesn't waver. This isn't the time. It's exactly the time. I step into the room, making Victoria freeze mid-sentence. Before we discuss my aunt's estate, let's talk about how she died. Security! Daniel starts to rise, but the federal agent raises her badge. Nobody leaves this room. Victoria's composure cracks for just a moment. Sarah, dear, shouldn't you be at the hospital? With my sister? The one you poisoned with the same medication cocktail that killed Eleanor? I slide a USB drive across the polished table. Everything's here. The offshore accounts, the falsified medical records, the pattern of mysterious deaths following Harper Foundation interventions. Lies, Victoria hisses, from an unstable woman. From your own records, Marcus steps in, carrying a familiar leather briefcase. The ones you kept in your private safe, the one I installed when I was CFO. Victoria's eyes dart between faces, calculating odds, searching for allies. She finds none. Ryan, she tries, surely you don't believe. I found Eleanor's original medical records, Ryan cuts her off. The ones before you had them altered. I'm done protecting this family's secrets. Victoria laughs, the sound brittle as breaking glass. Protected? You've never protected anything, Ryan. You're weak, just like your father. I built this empire while he played golf and you chased pretty girls. I made us untouchable. You made us monsters, Ryan says quietly. Victoria stands, suddenly radiating fury. Everything I did for this family, for our legacy. You think you can destroy that with some paperwork? I own this town. One phone call. To whom? I ask. Judge Harrison? He's being questioned about Eleanor's probate hearing. Thomas? He's already cutting a deal to save himself. Your pet doctors? They're running scared. You stupid girl. Victoria's smile turns vicious. You think this is justice? Revenge? You're just like the others. Weak, sentimental, easily broken. I'll destroy you, just like I destroyed them. And when I'm done, no one will even remember your name. That's where you're wrong. I pull out my phone, press play. Victoria's own voice fills the room, confessing to Eleanor's murder in the hospital corridor. I don't care if people remember my name. I care that they'll never forget yours. The boardroom erupts into chaos. Federal agents pour in. Daniel crumples in his chair. Board members scramble to distance themselves. But Victoria stands perfectly still, staring at me with something like recognition. Well played, she says softly. I almost wish you were really my daughter-in-law. We could have been magnificent together. I prefer magnificent on my own. As they lead Victoria away, Ryan touches my arm. Sarah, Don't. I step back. You chose your side too late. What happens now? I look around the boardroom at the empire Victoria built through blood and manipulation. Now, I'm going to do what librarians do best, preserve history, make sure no one forgets what happened here. Marcus appears at my shoulder. The federal investigation will take months. They'll want your testimony. They'll have it after I check on my sister. I turn to leave, but Victoria's voice stops me at the door. You think this is over? That you've won? She laughs, the sound echoing off marble walls. Oh, my dear, you have no idea what you've started. I meet her eyes one last time. No, Victoria, this isn't about winning, it's about justice. The difference is what you never understood. The federal agents lead her away, but her laughter follows me down the corridor. I don't look back. I've seen enough of Victoria Harper's face to last a lifetime. Besides, I have a sister to visit, a foundation to rebuild, and a story to tell. And this time, I'll make sure it has the right ending. The old library building still smells like books, even as workers strip away the Harper Foundation logos. Lily sits beside me on the front steps, her recovery visible in the return of color to her cheeks. What will you call it? She asks, watching the new sign being installed. The Eleanor Mitchell Memorial Library and Community Center. I hand her the dedication speech. Want to read it at the opening? She squeezes my hand instead of answering. We both know what it means, her voice getting stronger, her story becoming part of the narrative. Emily appears with coffee and newspaper clippings. Victoria Harper's conviction made headlines, but the smaller stories matter more. The returned properties, the overturned contracts, the lives slowly being rebuilt from the wreckage of Harper Industries. Marcus called, Emily says, settling beside us. He's testifying in another case. Apparently, Victoria's web stretched further than we thought. And Ryan? Cooperating with the investigation. He's selling everything, using the money to set up victim restitution funds. The morning sun catches the library's windows, and for a moment I see Eleanor's reflection instead of mine. What would she think of all this? Of justice served through careful manipulation and calculated revenge? A familiar car pulls up. Thomas, my ex-husband, looking smaller somehow without Victoria's influence propping him up. Sarah, he approaches cautiously. I heard about the opening. I wanted to... He trails off, noticing Lily's sharp gaze. I'm sorry for everything. I know. And I do know, finally. We were all pieces on Victoria's board, moved by her invisible hands. The difference was in how we chose to break free. He leaves a check, his contribution to the restitution fund, and drives away. One more thread in the tapestry of aftermath. Marcus arrives as the workers finish the sign. Quite a legacy you're building. Speaking of legacies, I turn to face him. When were you going to tell me about your daughter? He stiffens slightly. What about her? That Victoria didn't just destroy your career, that your daughter's mysterious illness cleared up as soon as you agreed to leave Harper Industries. His silence speaks volumes. You could have told me. We were fighting the same battle. No, he says quietly. You were fighting for justice. I was fighting for revenge. There's a difference. Is there? He gestures at the library, at the people gathering for the soft opening. Look what you built from the ashes. Me? I'm still burning. Before I can respond, a commotion erupts at the entrance. Daniel Harper stands there, aged decades in mere months, clutching an old book. It was Eleanor's, he says, holding it out like a peace offering. Victoria kept it as insurance. I thought you should have it. Inside, Eleanor's careful handwriting fills the margins with notes about the Harper family, observations, suspicions, plans never enacted. She saw it all coming, but ran out of time to stop it. Thank you, I say, but Daniel's already walking away, another ghost of the empire Victoria built, and I helped destroy. Lily reads over my shoulder. She was trying to protect you, wasn't she? Eleanor. She was trying to protect everyone. I close the book gently. Come on, let's go inside. The library fills with light and voices, children exploring the new reading nook, adults browsing job resources, life flowing back into spaces Victoria tried to control. But as I walk through my rebuilt world, Victoria's last words echo in my mind. You have no idea what you've started. Maybe she was right. Maybe this isn't an ending at all. Emily touches my arm. You okay? Just thinking about stories, I say, watching Lily help a young girl find the perfect book. How they never really end the way you expect. And how's this one ending? I look around at my transformed kingdom, built not from fear and manipulation like Victoria's, but from the ashes of what she destroyed. The power to help or harm, to rebuild or destroy, now rests in my hands. It's not, I realize. It's just changing chapters. The library hums with possibility, with futures being rewritten page by page. Victoria thought power meant controlling the story. I know better now. True power is giving others the chance to write their own.
The sound of sobbing echoed through my empty house, stopping me dead in my tracks. I'd been fumbling with my keys, exhausted from a late meeting, when those broken sounds pulled me toward the living room. There, curled up on my couch, was Carly, my son's fiancée, mascara streaking down her face like black rain. I tried calling you, she whispered, her voice cracking. Ryan won't listen to me. He won't listen to anyone anymore. I dropped my briefcase and sat beside her, my heart already racing. What happened? Tom happened. She spat my ex-husband's name like poison. He convinced Ryan to invest everything. Our house deposit, our savings, everything into his new tech startup. The room seemed to tilt sideways. 20 years of carefully maintaining distance from Tom's schemes, of protecting Ryan from his father's influence, all unraveled in an instant. How much? $240,000. Carly's hands trembled as she wiped her eyes. Ryan says it's going to change our lives, that his father has inside connections, guaranteed returns. I knew those words. I'd heard them before, back when Tom had convinced my parents to invest in his foolproof real estate venture. They'd lost their retirement fund. Now here he was, 2 decades later, spinning the same web around our son. When did this happen? 3 days ago. I've been trying to talk sense into Ryan, but he keeps saying I don't understand business like his father does. Carly's voice hardened. He's different now, Isla. It's like Tom's gotten inside his head. My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. Mom, don't listen to Carly if she comes to you. She's just scared of taking risks. Dad's company is going to be huge. I showed Carly the message. She laughed, but it was hollow. Risks? We were supposed to get married in 4 months. Now he's gambling our future on Tom's promises. Tell me everything you know about this startup. As Carly detailed Tom's pitch, revolutionary AI technology, prominent investors, guaranteed IPO within 18 months, I recognized his trademark mix of vague promises and specific numbers. He'd always known exactly how to make fantasy sound like fact. Has Ryan signed anything yet? The transfer's scheduled for tomorrow morning. Carly stood up, pacing now. He won't even show me the paperwork. Says it's all confidential. My phone buzzed again. Tom this time. Isla, stay out of this. Ryan's finally thinking like a businessman. Don't ruin this for him. The familiar rage rose in my chest, but I forced it down. Getting emotional was exactly what Tom wanted. He'd always used my anger to paint me as the irrational one, the obstacle to progress. Carly, I need you to go home and act normal. Don't mention you were here. I'm going to make some calls. What are you going to do? I thought about Mason, my friend in securities regulation, about the files I'd kept from Tom's previous ventures, about all the people he'd burned over the years who might finally want to talk. I'm going to show Ryan who his father really is, but I need time to do it right. Carly gathered her things, hesitating at the door. Ryan loves you, Isla, but right now he's looking at Tom like he's some kind of savior. I know. That's exactly what Tom wants. I hugged her tightly. Go home. Trust me. After she left, I sat in the darkness, Tom's text glowing accusingly on my screen. 20 years ago, I'd walked away from his schemes, protecting myself but leaving others vulnerable. I wouldn't make that mistake again. This time, I'd tear down his house of cards brick by brick, even if it meant risking my relationship with Ryan. I picked up my phone and dialed Mason's number. It rang twice before his gruff voice answered. Mason, remember that favor you owe me? I need everything you can find on a new tech startup, and I need it before tomorrow morning. Mason's research arrived at dawn. 3 pages of carefully documented red flags about Tom's startup. I hadn't slept, spending the night rehearsing what I'd say to Ryan. But when I pulled into the parking lot of Tom's gleaming office building, my carefully planned speech evaporated. Tom stood outside, arm around Ryan's shoulders, both of them laughing. The sight hit me like a physical blow. Ryan looked exactly like his father had 20 years ago. Same confident stance, same bright-eyed belief that the world was about to hand him everything he'd ever wanted. Mom? Ryan's smile faltered when he saw me. What are you doing here? We need to talk. I gripped Mason's papers in my coat pocket. All of us. Tom's charm switched on like a spotlight. Isla, always a pleasure. But Ryan and I have a meeting with investors in 10 minutes. Cancel it. I stepped closer, forcing Tom to look me in the eye. Unless you'd rather I share what I know about TechVision's funding sources with your investors directly? The mask slipped for just a second, a flash of something cold and calculating behind Tom's easy smile. Ryan, why don't you head upstairs? Your mother and I need to catch up. No. I kept my voice steady. Ryan stays. He needs to hear this. Hear what? Ryan moved closer to his father. Mom, if this is about Carly, it's about the shell companies. I pulled out Mason's papers. 3 of them, all registered in the Cayman Islands, all feeding money into Tech Vision through a series of fake investments. Want to explain that, Tom? Tom laughed, but I caught the tension in his shoulders. Business structures are complicated, Isla. Not everything is a conspiracy. The same business structures you used in 2008 when you convinced my parents to invest their retirement fund in your revolutionary real estate venture? Ryan's head snapped toward his father. What's she talking about? Ancient history. Tom waved his hand dismissively. Your mother never understood. They lost everything, I cut in. Just like the investors in your 2012 venture and your 2015 startup. Different names, same pattern. Create buzz, collect investments, then the company mysteriously fails while the money disappears offshore. Dad? Ryan's voice had lost its certainty. Is that true? Of course not. Your mother's always been jealous of my success. Tom's smile turned sharp. Remember who paid for your college, Ryan? Remember who's offering you a real future, not just small-town mediocrity. The money's gone, isn't it? I pressed. Tech Vision's AI technology doesn't exist. You're using Ryan's investment to pay off your last round of investors, aren't you? Tom's facade cracked. You don't know what you're talking about. I have proof. I held up the papers. Bank transfers, shell company registrations, everything. How many other young investors have you convinced to bet their futures on empty promises? Ryan grabbed the papers from my hand, scanning them quickly. His face went pale. These dates, these match when you first contacted me about investing. Son, listen. Don't call me that. Ryan's voice shook. Were you ever going to tell me? Or was I just another mark? Tom's charm vanished entirely. You ungrateful little... He caught himself, forcing a laugh. This is ridiculous. We have real investors waiting upstairs. Real opportunities. Your mother's trying to sabotage your future because she can't stand seeing you succeed where she failed. The transfer hasn't gone through yet, has it? I asked Ryan quietly. He shook his head, still staring at the papers. Then there's still time. I touched his arm gently. Come home. Talk to Carly. Make your own decisions, not his. Ryan. Tom's voice hardened. If you walk away now, don't expect any help from me ever again. No connections, no opportunities, nothing. Ryan looked between us, 22 years of manipulation and love warring on his face. Then he straightened his shoulders and handed the papers back to me. I don't want your help, he said to Tom. I don't want anything from you. He turned and walked away, leaving Tom and me alone in the morning sun. Tom's mask was gone completely now, replaced by something ugly and familiar. You'll regret this, he said softly. Both of you. I watched him stride into the building, already reaching for his phone. He'd find new investors, new victims, unless I stopped him. No, I whispered to his retreating back. This time, you'll regret it. I pulled out my phone and dialed Mason's number again. It was time for phase 2. Mason's office felt like a war room, scattered with documents and empty coffee cups. 3 days of digging had revealed the full scope of Tom's deception, each layer darker than the last. Your ex-husband's been busy. Mason tapped his keyboard, bringing up another spreadsheet. Tech Vision's just the tip of the iceberg. He's running at least 4 other schemes under different names. I leaned closer to the screen, my stomach churning. Those investment amounts, all from young professionals, mostly children of his old victims. Mason's voice hardened. He's targeting them specifically, using their parents' financial struggles as motivation. Don't end up like them, that sort of pitch. My phone buzzed. Another message from Ryan. He'd been staying with Carly, trying to process everything. I opened it, then wished I hadn't. Dad called. Says he can prove you're lying. Wants to meet. Isla? Mason touched my arm. What is it? Before I could answer, his office door burst open. Carly stood there, mascara streaked across her face. Ryan's gone. What do you mean, gone? He left this morning to meet Tom. Said he needed to hear both sides. She thrust her phone at me. Then I got this email. The screen showed a formal letter from Tech Vision's legal department threatening action against Ryan for corporate espionage. According to the document, he'd stolen proprietary information during his last visit to Tom's office. It's complete bullshit, Mason said, reading over my shoulder. But it'll tie him up in legal fees for years if Tom pursues it. That's not all. Carly's voice cracked. Tom's offering to drop everything if Ryan recommits to the investment, double the amount this time. The room spun slightly. Where are they meeting? The Marina Hotel, some kind of investor lunch. Carly grabbed my arm. Isla, he's going to take the deal. He called it fixing things. I checked my watch. 40 minutes until noon. Mason, send everything we have to your contact at the Securities Commission. Everything. That'll trigger an immediate investigation. He hesitated. Tom will know it was you. Good. I grabbed my coat. Carly, come with me. Ryan needs to see who else Tom's hurt. The drive to the marina felt endless. Carly filled the silence with details. How Ryan had grown distant over the past few days, spending hours on the phone with Tom, coming home with wild dreams of tech empire success. We found them in the hotel's restaurant, Tom holding court at a table full of young faces. Ryan sat beside him, shoulders tight, staring at a stack of papers. Just sign here, son. Tom's voice carried across the room. Show everyone you're not afraid of real success. I scanned the other faces around the table. A young woman with her father's tired eyes, two brothers wearing identical expressions of desperate hope. All children of Tom's previous victims, all carrying their parents' broken dreams. Ryan. My voice cut through the murmur of conversation. Before you sign, there's something you need to see. Tom's charm never wavered. Isla, this is a private business meeting. Show them, Carly. She stepped forward, opening her laptop. On the screen, a video began playing. Tom's previous victims sharing their stories. The parents of everyone at that table describing how they'd lost everything. Turn that off, Tom snapped, but the young woman was already standing. Dad? Her voice shook. Is that why you couldn't afford my college? The brothers exchanged glances. Our parents' bankruptcy. Ryan stared at the screen, then at the papers in front of him. You said they were just bitter about missing out. That they didn't have the vision to stay invested. They didn't understand business, Tom started, but Ryan was already standing. Like I don't understand? He looked around the table. Like none of us understand? How many times have you run this same con? Ryan, son, I saw the legal threats. Ryan's voice was ice. Trying to blackmail me into investing more? That's what a father does? The room erupted into chaos. Young investors demanding answers, Tom trying to maintain control, papers being snatched and scrutinized. Through it all, Ryan walked straight to Carly and held her tight. I'm sorry, he whispered. I almost lost everything believing in him again. I watched Tom's carefully constructed world crumble, satisfaction warring with old grief. He caught my eye across the chaos and mouthed two words. Watch out. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I had truth on my side, and a family worth fighting for. Whatever Tom was planning, I'd be ready. Mason's text confirmed it. Securities Commission moving in, hold tight. The real war was just beginning. The Securities Commission investigation hit a wall 3 days after the Marina Hotel confrontation. I sat in Mason's office, staring at an email that made my blood run cold. All the evidence is gone. Mason's voice was tight with frustration. Every document, every transfer record, everything we sent them disappeared from their servers overnight. That's impossible. I scrolled through the email again. Unless someone very powerful made it possible. Mason leaned back, rubbing his temples. Tom has friends in high places, Isla. Friends who owe him favors. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Back off while you still can. T. The office door opened and Ryan burst in, his face ashen. Mom, they're freezing my accounts. All of them. The bank says it's part of a fraud investigation. Against me. I felt the trap closing. Tom hadn't just been threatening legal action. He'd been laying groundwork. What exactly did they say? That I'm under investigation for attempting to defraud Tech Vision investors. Ryan's hands shook as he pulled out a formal notice. They're saying I tried to sabotage the company to manipulate stock prices. There's evidence, Mom. Evidence I've never seen before. Mason grabbed the notice, scanning it quickly. This is sophisticated. Forged emails, backdated documents. He's trying to make Ryan the scapegoat for everything. My phone buzzed again. Tom this time, not hiding behind unknown numbers. Let's talk. Just us. Or Ryan loses more than his money. Don't. Ryan grabbed my arm. He's trying to separate us, divide and conquer like always. But I was already reaching for my coat. Mason, start calling in favors. Anyone who might have dirt on Tom's real operations. Ryan, go home to Carly. Don't talk to anyone about this. Mom, trust me. I squeezed his hand. I won't let him win. Not this time. The drive to Tom's office felt like entering enemy territory. Security waved me through. They were expecting me. Tom stood at his window, backlit by the setting sun, looking every inch the successful businessman he pretended to be. You should see your face right now. He didn't turn around. Same expression you had when you first figured out what I really am. Remember that day? I remember everything. I stayed by the door. What do you want? Want? I want you to understand consequences. Now he turned, smile sharp as broken glass. Actions have ripples, Isla. Your little crusade? It's not just hurting me anymore. He tossed a file onto his desk. Inside were photos. Ryan at college, at parties, at work. Documents showing transactions I knew he'd never made. Emails he'd never written. Stop this. My voice didn't shake. I wouldn't give him that satisfaction. I will. When you publicly retract everything, tell the Securities Commission you made it all up out of spite. Watch me succeed while you and Ryan go back to your small, safe lives. Or Ryan goes to prison for fraud. His future, his reputation, everything, gone. Tom's smile widened. Choose, Isla. Your revenge or your son's life. My phone vibrated. A message from Mason. Don't give in. Found something big. Need 24 hours. Tom watched me, confident in his victory. He'd always been good at forcing impossible choices, backing people into corners until they broke. You're right, I said quietly. Actions have ripples. His smile faltered slightly. So you'll do it? I walked to his desk, picked up the file of fabricated evidence. You know what I remembered today? That safe in your old office, the one you thought I never found. The smile vanished completely. What? 20 years of secrets, Tom. 20 years of real evidence I kept, just in case. A complete lie, but I saw the flash of fear in his eyes. Want to talk about ripples? You're bluffing. Maybe. I turned toward the door. You have 24 hours to clear Ryan's name and drop everything, or we'll see whose evidence is more convincing. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. I walked out, heart pounding, praying Mason's lead was as big as he promised. Because I'd just started a countdown I couldn't stop, and Tom wasn't a man who handled desperation well. The game had changed. Now we were both playing for keeps. Mason's something big arrived at midnight. A trembling woman named Sarah standing in my kitchen, clutching a laptop to her chest. She was Tom's accountant, Mason explained quietly. Until 3 days ago. Sarah's fingers shook as she opened files. He doesn't know I kept copies. He thinks everything's gone, like with the Securities Commission, but She stopped, swallowing hard. I couldn't sleep after what he did to those families. The screen filled with spreadsheets, bank transfers, emails. A complete record of Tom's schemes going back 5 years. But something else caught my eye. Recent transfers to offshore accounts, all made within hours of our confrontation. He's preparing to run, Mason said, studying the data. These amounts, he's liquidating everything. My phone lit up. Carly calling at midnight never meant good news. Ryan's gone, she blurted before I could speak. He got a call from Tom an hour ago, said he was going to fix everything himself. The kitchen tilted sideways. Fix it how? I don't know, but he took all his documents about Tech Vision. Said something about making things right. Sarah's head snapped up. Tonight's the private investor meeting, top floor of the Tech Vision building. Mr. Wallace said no one could disturb him. Because he's closing deals before he disappears. I grabbed my keys. Mason, get that evidence to everyone. Media, authorities, everyone. Sarah, you're staying here where it's safe. Isla, wait. Mason caught my arm. Tom's desperate. If Ryan threatens his escape plan, then I need to move faster. The night air hit like a slap as I drove. Ryan wasn't answering his phone. Neither was Tom. The Tech Vision building loomed ahead, most windows dark except the top floor. Security tried to stop me. I showed them an old keycard from when Tom and I were married, praying it still worked. It did. He'd never bothered to remove my access. Arrogance or oversight, it didn't matter now. The elevator felt endless. I could hear raised voices through the penthouse door. Ryan's anger, Tom's smooth reassurances, other voices I didn't recognize. You're lying. Ryan's shout cut through clearly. I saw the transfer records. You're stealing everything. Son, you're confused. Don't call me that. You were going to let me take the fall while you ran away. I pushed through the door. Ryan stood facing Tom across a conference table, investors shrinking back against the walls. Father and son, mirror images of fury and betrayal. Security will handle this, Tom said smoothly, reaching for his phone. They're busy, I replied, dealing with federal agents in the lobby. Tom's mask slipped. You're bluffing. Check your accounts, Tom. Check the news. Sarah says hello. His fingers flew across his phone. I watched the color drain from his face as headlines appeared. Tech Vision fraud exposed, CEO under investigation, whistleblower reveals years of deception. You can't prove. He stopped as Ryan dropped a stack of papers on the table. My copies of everything, Ryan said quietly. The real documents, not your forgeries. The ones that show I was just another victim, not your accomplice. The investors were already moving, gathering their things, murmuring about lawyers. Tom's carefully constructed world crumbled in real time. This isn't over. He straightened his tie, that old, familiar gesture of control. You have no idea what I'm still capable of. Neither do you. I stepped between him and Ryan. But you're about to find out what I'm capable of. 20 years of watching, learning, waiting. Did you really think I didn't have a plan? Mom. Ryan's hand touched my shoulder. Let's go. Let him face what's coming alone. We turned to leave, but Tom's voice stopped us. I'll destroy you both. Everything you have, everything you are. No. I didn't turn around. You won't, because you don't exist anymore. Check your accounts again. The roar of rage behind us, the sound of something expensive shattering, followed us to the elevator. Ryan's hands were shaking. Did you really? Mason's friend in cybersecurity did. Every account, every hidden fund. Gone. The elevator descended into uncertainty, but for the first time in weeks, I felt steady. The war wasn't over. Tom wouldn't go quietly, but tonight's battle was ours. Mom? Ryan's voice was small. I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. I squeezed his hand as Sarah's evidence lit up phones across the city, burning Tom's empire to ash. The call came at 3 a.m, Mason's voice tight with urgency. Sarah's gone. Her apartment's been ransacked. I sat up in bed, already reaching for clothes. Police? On their way, but... He paused. There's something else. All her copies of the evidence are corrupted. Every file, every backup. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. That's not possible. We had everything secured. Tom had a failsafe. Some kind of delayed virus. It's hitting everywhere. News outlets, federal servers, everything we sent out. It's all turning to gibberish. My phone buzzed with a text. Did you really think I wouldn't be prepared? T. I drove through empty streets to Mason's office where Ryan and Carly were already waiting. The scene was chaos. Computers running diagnostics, phones ringing, Mason's team trying desperately to salvage what remained of Sarah's evidence. The virus is sophisticated, one tech explained. It's not just corrupting files, it's replacing them with false data. Data that makes everything look legitimate. What about the hard copies? Ryan asked. The papers I gave the investors? Mason shook his head. Already getting calls. Documents apparently showing those were forgeries. Tom's covering every angle. My phone lit up again. An email from Tom's lawyer. As I read, my hands started to shake. Mom? Ryan moved closer. What is it? He's suing us. All of us. Defamation, corporate espionage, criminal conspiracy. I looked up at Mason. The evidence he's presenting. It makes us look like we planned this whole thing. Like we're the ones running a con. That's insane, Carly protested. No one will believe. They already are. Mason turned his laptop, showing news headlines. Tech Vision CEO claims conspiracy. Evidence of corporate sabotage emerges. Whistleblower credibility questioned. Where's Sarah? Ryan's voice cracked. She can still testify. If we can find her. Mason rubbed his temples. And if Tom hasn't already gotten to her. My phone buzzed again. Tom's number this time. Against every instinct, I answered. Ready to end this? His voice was smooth, victorious. One public statement from you, admitting you fabricated everything out of spite, and this all goes away. Ryan keeps his freedom, your friend Mason keeps his license, and poor Sarah, well, let's say she'll be able to come home. You son of a... Careful, Isla. Everything you say is being recorded. For legal purposes, of course. He chuckled. You have 1 hour to decide. Tick-tock. The line went dead. I looked around the office, at Ryan's pale face, at Carly's tears, at Mason's defeated slump. He's won, Ryan whispered. Hasn't he? Before I could answer, Mason's computer chimed. A video call from an unknown number. When he answered, Sarah's face appeared, bruised but alive. I'm safe, she said quickly. But they're coming. Tom's people found my real backup, the one I never told anyone about. They're heading to the old records facility now. What backup? Mason leaned forward. Paper trails, years of them, in a storage unit under my grandmother's name. Everything printed, dated, notarized. She glanced over her shoulder. But they know, they'll destroy it all. The address appeared in chat. Across town, in the industrial district. Tom's people would be closer. Mom, no. Ryan grabbed my arm as I reached for my keys. It's too dangerous. He's desperate now. Exactly. I pulled free. Desperate means sloppy. Desperate means mistakes. Then I'm coming with you. No. I faced him fully. If this goes wrong, I need you clean. Someone has to be left to tell the truth. Mason stepped forward. Isla. Keep them safe. I was already moving. And be ready. Whatever happens, be ready. The night air hit like ice as I ran to my car. Another text from Tom lit up my phone. Wrong choice, as usual. But for the first time since this started, I smiled. Because Tom had forgotten something crucial about desperate people. They weren't the only ones who could make mistakes. I pressed the accelerator, racing toward either salvation or destruction, knowing that whatever waited at that storage facility would change everything. One way or another, this ended tonight. The storage facility loomed ahead, a maze of identical metal doors under flickering fluorescent lights. 2 black SUVs were already parked outside. Tom's people had beaten me here. But they hadn't found what they were looking for yet, or they'd be gone. Unit 247, Sarah's grandmother's unit. I crept through the corridors, following the numbered sequence until voices echoed ahead. It has to be here somewhere. Tom's voice, tight with frustration. Tear everything apart if you have to. I pressed against the wall, peering around the corner. Tom stood with 3 men in suits, surrounded by opened boxes and scattered papers. But they were at Unit 247B. Sarah, clever Sarah, had given them the wrong unit. Sir? One suit held up his phone. Security cameras show movement in Section C. Find whoever it is. Tom kicked a box aside. This whole place gets burned if we have to. I waited until 2 suits disappeared around the corner, then moved. Unit 247 was 3 doors down from Tom. The key Sarah had texted worked silently. Inside, stacked bankers' boxes filled the small space, each labeled meticulously. Tech Vision Fraud, 2019-2024. Offshore accounts, investor lists. 20 years of Tom's crimes preserved in paper and ink. Looking for something? I spun. Tom stood in the doorway, his last suit behind him. It's over, Tom. Nothing's over until I say it is. He stepped inside, eyes scanning the labels. All these years you were collecting evidence? Planning your revenge? No. I moved between him and the boxes. Sarah collected these. I just helped her find the courage to use them. Sarah. He laughed bitterly. The quiet little accountant. Should have known. He nodded to his suit. Burn it. The man reached into his jacket. I grabbed the nearest box and hurled it, scattering papers between them and me. Tom lunged forward, but I was already moving, slamming into him with 20 years of pent-up rage. We crashed into the hallway. The suit's lighter fluid splashed across the floor, igniting instantly. Smoke filled the narrow space. You never understood, did you? Tom grabbed my throat, pinning me against the wall. Power isn't about right or wrong. It's about who's willing to do whatever it takes. No. Another voice cut through the smoke. It's about truth. Ryan stood at the corridor's end, phone raised, live streaming everything. Behind him, Mason and 2 federal agents advanced with weapons drawn. Federal agents. Hands up. Tom's grip loosened. For the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. It's not just Sarah's evidence anymore. Ryan's voice shook with fury. Everyone's watching. Everyone's seeing who you really are. The suit surrendered immediately, but Tom backed away toward the growing flames. You think this changes anything? His calm mask cracked, revealing something desperate beneath. I'll start over. I always do. And you'll spend years trying to prove everything while you what? Mason stepped forward, badge raised. Run? Hide? The livestream has 50,000 viewers already. Every exit's covered. It's done. Tom looked at Ryan, one last attempt at manipulation. Son, I'm not your son. Ryan's phone stayed steady. I'm her son, and you're nothing but a fraud. The federal agents moved in. Tom's shoulders slumped as the handcuffs clicked shut. The fire department sirens wailed in the distance. The boxes? I coughed through the smoke. Saved most of them. Mason helped me up. Sarah's already at the federal building, giving her statement. You were right. Desperate people make mistakes. I watched them lead Tom away, his expensive suit covered in ash, his empire crumbling in real time as Ryan's live stream captured everything. Mom? Ryan lowered his phone finally. Are you okay? I touched my bruised throat, feeling the weight of 2 decades lifting. I am now. Outside, reporters were already gathering. Tom's carefully constructed facade of success would be tomorrow's cautionary tale. But more importantly, his power to hurt people was finally, permanently broken. Ready to tell your story? Mason asked quietly. I looked at Ryan, who nodded encouragement. Yes, I said. I think it's time everyone heard the truth. The truth about power, about justice, about the quiet strength it takes to stand against someone who would sacrifice anything or anyone to win. The truth about how sometimes the greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemy, but in simply surviving long enough to expose them to the light. The courthouse steps felt different in the morning sun. No reporters remained, no cameras tracked our movements. Just the quiet aftermath of justice, settling like dust after a storm, guilty on all counts. Mason folded the morning paper. Tom's face splashed across the front page. Maximum sentences. The judge made an example of him. I watched Ryan and Carly across the plaza, heads bent together over coffee cups, planning their rescheduled wedding. The simple sight of them, free from Tom's shadow, felt like victory enough. Sarah called. Mason continued. The victim restitution fund is already over $8 million. More coming in daily as other schemes surface. And the others? I asked quietly. Tom's network is falling apart. His connections are scrambling to save themselves, turning on each other. 20 years of carefully built influence gone in weeks. A familiar car pulled up to the curb. Tom's mother emerged, clutching an envelope. She'd sat behind him every day of the trial, watching her son's carefully constructed facade crumble under the weight of evidence. Isla. She approached slowly, uncertain. This was in his things. He wanted Ryan to have it. Ryan noticed her presence, tensing slightly. I took the envelope. I'll make sure he gets it. She nodded, aged beyond her years. Tell him. Tell him I'm sorry for everything we enabled. After she left, I opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper, Tom's confession, written the night before sentencing. Not the legal one his lawyers had arranged, but a real one. Raw, honest. Mom? Ryan appeared at my shoulder. What is it? I handed him the letter. He read it slowly, Carly's hand steady on his arm. He actually admitted it. Ryan whispered. Everything. The manipulation, the lies, using me to get to other investors' children. People can surprise you, I said. Even at the end. Should I visit him? That's your choice, no one else's. Ryan folded the letter carefully. Maybe someday. When I'm ready. When it's about healing, not anger. Carly squeezed his hand. Whatever you decide, we'll face it together. Mason's phone buzzed. He read the message, eyebrows rising. The investment firm that bought TechVision's assets? They want to meet with Ryan. Something about his original software designs actually having potential. Really? Carly brightened. They said someone vouched for his integrity. Someone who lost everything to Tom years ago, but recognized genuine talent when they saw Ryan's work. I watched understanding dawn on Ryan's face. Sometimes karma worked in unexpected ways, turning old wounds into new beginnings. What do you think? He asked me. I think you should trust yourself. You know the difference now, between real opportunity and empty promises. He hugged me suddenly, fierce and protective. I learned from the best. The morning breeze carried away the last whispers of Tom's influence. Not through revenge or destruction, but through truth. Through the quiet strength of standing firm, protecting what mattered, letting justice find its own path. Mason touched my arm. The Securities Commission wants to consult with you about helping other families spot investment fraud before it's too late. Using the past to protect the future? I smiled slightly. I'd like that. Ryan and Carly walked ahead, discussing wedding plans again. Mason followed, already making calls. I lingered a moment, watching my family, the one I'd fought for, the one I'd chosen, move forward into the light. The courthouse doors opened behind me. More families emerged, carrying their own stories of justice and healing. Some nodded to me in recognition, sharing the weight of similar battles won. I descended the steps slowly, leaving behind the echoes of old pain and fresh victory. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, but we'd face them together, stronger for having weathered this storm. The morning sun caught my wedding ring. Not Tom's, but the one I'd bought myself after the divorce, a promise of independence. It sparked briefly, like justice finally served, like truth finally spoken, like love finally freed from the shadows of deception. I joined my family, ready for whatever came next. Because some victories aren't about winning or losing, but about finding the courage to stand up, speak out, and protect what matters most, no matter the cost.
The silver happy birthday banner droops pathetically over the dining room entrance, forgotten and askew like everything else about my 24th birthday. Inside, champagne glasses clink as my family celebrates Emma's latest triumph, a promotion to senior marketing director that apparently matters more than my existence. I'm Jade, the Thompson family's perpetual afterthought. To Emma, Mother raises her glass, her pearl necklace catching the chandelier light. We always knew you were destined for greatness, sweetheart. I stand in the corner, clutching my untouched champagne, watching the familiar scene unfold. Emma basks in the attention, her perfectly manicured hand resting on her husband Ryan's shoulder while their kids, Lucas and Mason, chase each other around the dining table. Such an achievement at 31, Father beams, his pride practically radiating. The youngest senior director in the company's history. The irony of celebrating Emma's success on my birthday isn't lost on me. But then again, nothing about this family ever is. I take a sip of champagne, letting the bitter bubbles match my mood. We should discuss the house renovation now, Emma announces, her voice carrying that entitled tone I've grown to despise. Ryan and I found the perfect contractor. Mother clasps her hands together. Oh, wonderful. Mark, we should help them with the down payment. I nearly choke on my drink. Last month, when I asked for help with my student loan payments, they claimed finances were tight. Funny how money materializes when Emma needs it. Actually, I clear my throat. I was hoping we could discuss. Not now, Jade. Mother cuts me off with a dismissive wave. Emma's showing us the renovation plans. I slip away to the kitchen, needing space to breathe. Through the door, I hear them continuing their discussion about Emma's perfect life. Perfect children, perfect everything. The sound of their voices draws me toward the study, where I overhear Father speaking in hushed tones. Lisa, we can't keep doing this. The investments for Emma's house, the private school for the boys, it's stretching us thin. Mark, she needs our support. She's building a life for our grandchildren. But what about, shh, someone might hear. I step back, my hand trembling as I set down my glass. The familiar ache in my chest transforms into something darker, heavier. Years of being overlooked, dismissed, and pushed aside crystallize into a single, clarifying moment. My phone buzzes. A text from Nina, my best friend. Happy birthday. Dinner tonight? Before I can reply, Emma's voice rings out. Jade, where are you? We need help with the cake. Of course they do. They always need something from me, but never for me. I watch through the kitchen window as a bird slams into the glass, stunning itself before flying away. Something about its desperate escape attempt resonates deep within me. Coming, I call back, but I remain rooted in place, my mind racing with possibilities. The bird recovers, shakes itself off, and takes flight again, this time with purpose, with direction. I pick up my phone and text Nina back. Yes, we need to talk. I'm done being the family doormat. The sounds of laughter and celebration continue in the dining room, but something has shifted inside me. They don't realize it yet, but this birthday marks more than just another year of my existence. It marks the day I stopped accepting my role as the forgotten Thompson. As I push through the kitchen door, plastering on my usual compliant smile, I'm already plotting. Emma's perfect life is built on cards, and I've just decided to become the wind that brings it all down. Let them eat cake. Soon enough, they'll be choking on it. Nina's apartment feels like sanctuary after the disaster of my birthday dinner. The city lights twinkle beyond her balcony as I cradle a glass of wine, recounting the evening's events. She listens, dark eyes narrowing at each fresh detail. And now this. I slide my phone across the coffee table, showing her the family group chat message that arrived 10 minutes ago. Emma's text glows on the screen. Everyone, Ryan and I have the most wonderful news. Family brunch tomorrow at 11. Don't be late, this is huge. Another performance in the Emma show, Nina mutters, refilling our glasses. You don't have to go. I do, actually, because missing it means 3 weeks of guilt-tripping texts from Mother. The next morning, I arrive at my parents' house exactly 2 minutes late. Emma's already holding court in the living room, Ryan hovering beside her with that anxious look he's been wearing lately. There you are, Emma beams, but her eyes are sharp. We were about to start without you. Mother fusses with the coffee service. Jade, fix your hair. It looks messy. I ignore her, taking a seat as far from Emma as possible. Lucas and Mason tear through the room, screaming at full volume, while Father half-heartedly tells them to settle down. So, Emma stands, commanding attention like she's at a board meeting. As you know, I've been thinking about my priorities lately. After much consideration, I've decided to leave my position at the firm. The coffee cup nearly slips from Mother's hands. But darling, your promotion is wonderful, yes, but there's something even more wonderful. Emma's hand drifts to her stomach. We're expecting again. I want to be a full-time mother to all my children. The room erupts in squeals and congratulations. I watch Ryan's face carefully. There's something tight around his eyes that doesn't match his smile. Of course, we'll need help with the transition, Emma continues. The renovation costs are higher than expected, and with the new baby... Whatever you need, sweetheart, Father says immediately, though I notice his hand tightening on his armrest. I can't help myself. Interesting timing, giving up your salary right after the promotion bonus cleared. The room goes silent. Emma's smile doesn't waver, but her eyes turn to ice. Some of us prioritize family over money, Jade. That's enough, Mother snaps. Jade, why must you always spoil things? I stand up, my coffee untouched. Right, because questioning St. Emma's latest scheme is spoiling things. Never mind that my student loan payment bounced last week because the help you promised never came. Your sister has children to think about, Father says, but he won't meet my eyes. And I'm what? The family ATM? The built-in babysitter? The invisible daughter who exists to prop up Emma's perfect life? Emma steps forward, voice dripping with concern. Oh, Jade, is this about your birthday? I'm so sorry if you felt overlooked. Maybe if you had achieved something worth celebrating. The words hit like a slap. I grab my bag, heading for the door, but Emma's next words freeze me in place. Actually, since you brought up money, Ryan and I could use your help with Lucas and Mason this summer. 3 days a week? We can't afford a nanny with the renovation costs, and you're between real jobs anyway. I turn slowly, taking in the scene. My parents nodding approvingly, Ryan studying the floor, Emma's perfectly practiced expression of sisterly affection. Between real jobs, I repeat. You mean my freelance writing doesn't count as real work? Well, Emma shrugs. It's not exactly stable, is it? This would give you something meaningful to do. I look at each of them, my father avoiding conflict as usual, my mother already planning Emma's baby shower in her head, Ryan's strange nervousness, and Emma's absolute certainty that I'll cave like I always do. No, I say quietly. What? I said no. Find someone else to exploit. As I walk out, I hear Mother calling after me, but I don't stop. In my car, my phone lights up with messages, mostly variations of "How dare you" and "Your sister needs you." But there's also a text from Ryan. We need to talk, privately. I start the engine, a plan forming in my mind. Emma's perfect life is built on secrets, and I'm betting Ryan knows exactly where the cracks are. Time to start pushing. The coffee shop Ryan chose sits in a forgotten strip mall on the edge of town. Perfect for secrets. He's already there when I arrive, hunched over his phone like it might save him. Thanks for meeting me, he says, not quite meeting my eyes. His wedding ring taps a nervous rhythm against his cup. You said it was important. He glances around before sliding a folder across the table. Emma doesn't know I'm here. If she finds out... Inside are bank statements, investment reports, and loan documents. My hands start shaking as I read. The numbers don't make sense. Hundreds of thousands missing, high-risk investments, massive withdrawals. She's been using Father's power of attorney, I say, the pieces clicking together. The renovation money? Isn't for renovations, Ryan's voice cracks. She's trying to cover my mistakes. I got in deep with some people, gambling. A bitter laugh escapes me. And naturally, Emma's solution was to steal from our parents. Your father's retirement fund is almost gone. His words hit like bullets. The house equity, too. She keeps saying she can fix it, that one big investment will turn everything around. My phone buzzes. Mother, probably with another guilt trip about the brunch disaster. I silence it. Why tell me this? Ryan runs a hand through his hair. Because she's pregnant again and I can't. The people I owe, they're not patient. She thinks throwing more money at it will help. But it's making everything worse. How convenient that she's quitting her job now. No paper trail linking her to the investments when it all falls apart. Jade, please, I know we've treated you. Save it. I gather the documents, my mind racing. Does anyone else know? No, Emma's too proud, and your parents trust her completely. I stand, tucking the folder into my bag. I'll need copies of everything. What are you going to do? The fear in his voice should make me feel something. Pity, maybe, or sympathy. Instead, I feel nothing but cold clarity. That depends on Emma. Later that night, I find her waiting outside my apartment. She's wearing her power suit, her armor for difficult conversations. We need to talk about your attitude, she says, pushing past me into the living room. Mother's upset, father's disappointed. How's the investment portfolio? I interrupt. She freezes for a fraction of a second, so brief anyone else would miss it. But I'm watching for it. I don't know what you mean. Really? Because I have some fascinating documents that suggest otherwise. Father's retirement fund? The house equity? Ring any bells? Her mask slips, revealing something ugly underneath. Ryan told you. He showed me everything. Though I have to admire your efficiency. Stealing from our parents while convincing them to fund your escape plan. That's impressive, even for you. You don't understand? Oh, I understand perfectly. Ryan gambles, you steal, and everyone else pays the price. Tale as old as time. She steps closer, voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. If you breathe a word of this to anyone, I'll destroy you. Everything you're trying to build with your little writing career, gone. Who do you think they'll believe? Perfect Emma or bitter, jealous Jade? You really don't get it, do you? I pull out my phone, showing her the email I'd drafted earlier. To the Financial Crimes Division regarding suspicious activity. One click, Emma. That's all it takes. The color drains from her face. You wouldn't. Try me. I'm done being your safety net. I'm pregnant, she says, like it's a shield. Think about your nephews, your family. You should have thought about them before you stole their future. She grabs her purse, hands shaking. At the door, she turns back. This isn't over. No, I agree, feeling strangely calm. It's just beginning. After she leaves, I pour a glass of wine and open my laptop. The email to the Financial Crimes Division stares back at me, cursor blinking on the send button. Not yet. Emma's right about one thing. This isn't over. I have years of invisible wounds to repay, and I want her to feel every single one. I close the laptop and smile. Let her sweat, wondering when the axe will fall. Sometimes revenge is sweeter when served in small, excruciating portions. The anonymous email takes 3 minutes to compose and 10 seconds to send. By morning, whispers about financial irregularities at Emma's firm have already started circulating. Just a hint. A carefully worded suggestion about improper use of client funds during her tenure. Nothing direct, nothing traceable. I watch the chaos unfold from my laptop screen, tracking the internal memo leaks and worried social media posts from her former colleagues. Emma's phone calls go straight to my voicemail. Nina sets a fresh coffee in front of me. You sure about this? She did it to herself. I close the laptop. I'm just spreading the truth. My phone buzzes. Father. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Have you seen the news? His voice sounds older, strained. They're auditing Emma's department. All her accounts are frozen. That must be stressful. Jade, please. Your mother's beside herself. Emma needs... What about what I need? The words escape before I can stop them. Did anyone care when I lost my apartment deposit because the loan you promised never came? Silence stretches between us. Then, we should discuss this in person. Family dinner tonight. I'm busy. This isn't a request. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, something cold settling in my stomach. Nina touches my arm. You don't have to go. Yes, I do. I stand, gathering my things. Time to watch the show. The family home looks different now, knowing what I know. Each carefully maintained flower bed, every piece of expensive furniture, all of it built on lies and theft. Emma's car is already in the driveway. Inside, voices carry from the dining room. "They can't prove anything," Emma's saying as I enter. She stops mid-sentence, her face hardening. "You?" Mother rushes to smooth things over. "Girls, please, let's just have a nice dinner." "Did you send that email?" Emma demands, rising from her chair. "Are you trying to destroy everything I've built?" "Everything you've stolen, you mean." Father slams his hand on the table. "Enough. Both of you sit down." I remain standing. "Why? So we can pretend everything's fine while Emma bleeds you dry?" "What are you talking about?" Mother's voice wavers. Emma laughs, but there's panic in her eyes. "She's jealous, Mother. She's always been jealous." "Show them the documents," I tell her. "Show them what you did with Father's power of attorney." The color drains from Father's face. "Emma? I had no choice." She's crying now, perfectly timed tears. "Ryan's gambling debts. I was trying to protect the family." "By stealing their retirement?" I pull out copies of the documents Ryan gave me. "By emptying their accounts for your investments?" Mother takes the papers with trembling hands. "Mark, these numbers. Our savings." "I can fix it," Emma insists. "I just need time." "Time for what?" I cut in. "To steal more? To run? Or maybe to have another baby and use that as a shield?" "You bitter little—" Emma lunges forward, but Ryan catches her arm. "Emma, don't." His voice is quiet. "It's over." She whirls on him. "You told her? You betrayed me?" The room descends into chaos. Mother sobbing, Father demanding explanations, Emma and Ryan arguing. I stand in the middle of it all, watching years of perfect family facade crumble. My phone buzzes again. A text from an unknown number. Interesting timing on that tip about Emma. Want to know what else she's been hiding? I slip out while they're still arguing, the text burning in my pocket like a live coal. The satisfaction I expected feels hollow, replaced by something darker. This isn't just about Emma anymore. Whatever she's involved in, it's bigger than family theft. Outside, the summer air feels thick with possibility. I could stop now, let the audit and family drama take its course. Or I could follow this new thread, see just how deep Emma's deceptions go. I text back one word. Everything. The reply comes instantly. Tomorrow, noon, Central Park bench by the lake. Come alone. I start my car, Emma's screams still echoing from the house. The game has changed. This isn't just revenge anymore. It's excavation, and I'm going to dig until there's nothing left to find. The park bench feels exposed, vulnerable. I check my phone, 11:58. A man in a charcoal suit approaches, his movements precise, deliberate. He sits without looking at me. "Miss Thompson, your sister's quite the entrepreneur. Who are you?" "Someone who's been watching Emma's creative accounting for months." He slides a USB drive between us. "Your parents aren't her only victims." I pocket the drive. "What do you want?" "Consider it a mutual interest in justice. Emma's been laundering money through her investment schemes. Your family's savings were just convenient cover." My hands clench. Of course, the perfect daughter's perfect life built on perfect lies. "How much?" "Millions, and not just local money." He stands. "Check the drive, but be careful who you tell. Some of her investors aren't as civilized as I am." He disappears into the crowd, leaving me with the weight of his words. At home, the drive reveals a labyrinth of shell companies, offshore accounts, and familiar names, including Ryan's gambling debts to people who don't forgive. My phone rings. "Mother, your father's in the hospital." Her voice breaks. Heart attack, the stress of everything. The drive burns in my laptop like a loaded gun. I'll be there. The hospital corridor stretches endlessly. Emma's there, of course, playing the devoted daughter. Her mascara-stained tears look rehearsed. "How dare you show up?" she hisses when she spots me. "He's my father, too." "Not after what you've done." She grabs my arm, pulling me aside. "The audit team found irregularities. They're expanding the investigation." "Good. You don't understand. There are people involved, dangerous people. If they think I'm cooperating with authorities, maybe you should have thought about that before involving our family in your criminal enterprise." Her fingers dig deeper. I did it for us. For the family. No. I wrench free. You did it for yourself. Like always. Mother emerges from Father's room, eyes red. He's asking for both of you. Father looks small in the hospital bed, monitors beeping steadily. My girls, he whispers. Please, stop this fighting. Emma starts her performance immediately. Daddy, I'm so sorry. I was just trying to... Enough. His voice is weak but firm. The truth. Now. I pull out my phone, showing him the files from the drive. It wasn't just our money, Father. Emma's been laundering funds for criminals. You're lying, Mother gasps. Ask her about the offshore accounts. Ask her what really happened to your retirement fund. Emma's facade cracks. They threatened Ryan, his gambling debts, but they were going to hurt the boys. Father's heart monitor speeds up. Mark, Mother warns. So you sacrificed our family instead? I press. Used Father's power of attorney to clean dirty money? I had no choice. A nurse appears. You need to leave. His blood pressure. Emma shoves past me, fleeing down the corridor. Mother follows, calling her name. I stay, watching Father's monitors normalize. I should have seen it, he murmurs. Should have protected you both better. It's too late for that. My phone buzzes, an unknown number. Decision time, Miss Thompson. The authorities get the evidence tomorrow. Your sister's associates won't be pleased. Father reaches for my hand. Whatever you're planning, Jade. Remember, she's still your sister. I look at him, really look at him, for the first time in years. The strong, intimidating father who always took Emma's side now seems fragile, human. Another victim of Emma's manipulation. She stopped being my sister long ago. Outside the hospital, I call the number back. If I give you everything I have on Emma, what happens to my family? They'll be protected, but your sister, well, both her legitimate and illegitimate associates will want their pound of flesh. I watch Emma through the hospital window crying in Mother's arms, still the center of attention, still playing the victim. The USB drive weighs heavy in my pocket. Salvation or damnation, depending on how I use it. I'll need guarantees, I tell the voice. Written protection for my parents, Ryan, the kids. And Emma? Through the glass, our eyes meet. For a moment, I see past the perfect facade to the desperate woman beneath. She mouths something. Please. Give me 24 hours, I say, and hang up. The game has changed. This isn't about family anymore. It's about survival. And I'm not sure whose. The family gathering for Father's return from the hospital feels like a powder keg waiting for a spark. Mother's arranged everything perfectly. Food, flowers, the pretense of normalcy. Emma sits beside Father, playing the devoted daughter, while Ryan hovers nervously near the door. I clutch my phone, containing everything needed to destroy Emma's carefully constructed world. The 24 hours are almost up. A toast, Mother announces, raising her glass. To family healing. Emma's eyes meet mine across the table. She knows. She has to know. My phone vibrates. Another message from the mysterious contact. Time's up. Decision? Father sets down his fork. Girls, I've been thinking about everything that's happened. A loud knock interrupts him. Two men in dark suits enter, followed by the man from the park bench. Ryan goes pale. Mrs. Brooks, one suit says. We need to discuss some irregularities in your accounts. Emma stands, hands shaking. This isn't the time. Actually, I pull out my phone. It's exactly the time. Show them, Emma. Show everyone what you've really been doing. Jade, please. Her voice cracks. Think about the boys. Like you thought about Father when you stole his retirement? Or me when you took my college fund? The suits move closer. Mrs. Brooks, we can do this privately, or... It wasn't just me. Emma's mask finally shatters. Ryan's debts, these people were going to hurt us. I had to protect my family. By destroying ours, I project the financial records onto the dining room wall using my phone. Look, Father, every transaction, every theft, every lie. Mother gasps at the numbers. Father's face goes ashen. You don't understand, Emma sobs. They'll kill Ryan. They'll take everything. They already have. I slam my hands on the table. You took everything from all of us. And for what? To save your perfect life? The man from the park steps forward. Actually, Miss Thompson, your sister's crimes go deeper than you know. Show them the last file. My hands shake as I open it. The room goes silent as images appear. Documents showing Emma's connection to international criminal organizations, money laundering schemes far beyond Ryan's gambling debts. Emma, Mother whispers, tell me this isn't true. But Emma's already running. Ryan tries to grab her, but she pushes past him, heading for the door. The suits move to follow. Wait! I call out, something clicking into place. The pregnancy, it's not real, is it? Just another manipulation. Emma freezes. Her laugh sounds hollow. You always were too clever, little sister, but not clever enough to see the whole picture. She pulls out a gun. Everything happens at once. Mother screams. The suits draw weapons. Father clutches his chest. Nobody moves. Emma's voice is eerily calm. Jade, delete the files, all of them, now. Or what? You'll shoot me? Your own sister? Sister? She laughs again. We stopped being sisters the moment you chose revenge over family. Delete them. I look at my phone. Years of evidence, proof of every crime, every manipulation. My chance for justice, for revenge. Emma, please, Ryan begs. Think about the boys. I am thinking about them. She's crying now, mascara running. Everything I did was for them, and you, she points the gun at me, you had to ruin it all. I raise my phone. Last chance, Emma. Surrender, and maybe the gunshot is deafening. Pain explodes in my shoulder. Through the chaos, I see Emma running, hear sirens approaching. My phone clatters to the floor, screen cracking. Jade! Nina's voice seems far away. When did she arrive? Stay with me. Mother's crying, father's having another attack, and somewhere in the distance, Emma's escaping with all her secrets. The man from the park kneels beside me. The files are safe. We'll find her. But as darkness creeps in at the edges of my vision, I realize the truth. In winning my revenge, I've lost everything else. The family I wanted to punish is shattered beyond repair, and the sister I wanted to destroy has become something far worse than I imagined. The last thing I see is my cracked phone screen, still projecting Emma's crimes on the wall, a testament to victory that feels more like defeat. Some victories, I whisper as consciousness fades, cost too much. The sirens grow louder, but Emma's already gone, taking with her any chance of this ending the way I planned. In trying to destroy her perfect life, I've unleashed something far more dangerous than simple revenge. The hospital room feels too small, my bandaged shoulder a constant reminder of Emma's final betrayal. 3 days since the shooting, and still no sign of her, until my phone lights up with a message. Storage Unit 247, come alone, or Ryan's gambling friends finish what they started. Nina tries to stop me from leaving. You can't trust her. Let the police handle it. She's still my sister. The words taste bitter, and those men will kill her. The storage facility looms against the sunset, rows of identical metal doors stretching endlessly. Unit 247's padlock hangs open, waiting. Inside, Emma stands beside a stack of boxes, looking smaller than I remember. You came alone? I step inside. Unlike you, I keep my promises. Promises? She laughs, but it sounds wrong. Like promising to protect family? Look how well that turned out. You shot me. You destroyed everything I built. You mean everything you stole? I gesture to my shoulder. Was it worth it? Becoming this? Emma moves closer, something desperate in her eyes. You don't understand. Ryan's debts were just the beginning. These people, they own me now. Every transaction, every investment, it was all them. Then why run? Turn yourself in. Get protection. Protection? She pulls out her phone, showing me a video. Lucas and Mason playing in an unfamiliar room. They took my boys, Jade. Said I had 24 hours to deliver the money or... Her voice breaks. The pieces click together. This meeting isn't about reconciliation. The files you have, the evidence, it's worth millions to the right buyers, enough to save my children. And damn everyone else? I step back. What about father's heart attack? Mother's breakdown? The family you destroyed? I never meant... She stops, head tilting. You hear that? Footsteps outside. Multiple sets. They followed you, Emma whispers. Or you led them here. The door slams shut. Metal groans as something heavy blocks it. Emma's phone rings. A familiar voice fills the small space. Ladies, thank you for making this easy. Where are my children? Emma demands. Safe, for now. But we need those files, Miss Thompson. All of them. Your sister's evidence could cause... complications. I pull out my phone. You want complications? One click sends everything to every law enforcement agency in the country. Then your nephews die first. Emma lunges for my phone. We struggle, crashing into boxes. My shoulder screams in pain. Give it to them, she begs. Please, they're just babies. Stop, I shove her back. Think, if we give them everything, we're both dead. The boys too, they'll never leave witnesses. Something shifts in Emma's expression. For a moment, I see my sister again. Not the perfect facade or the desperate criminal, but the girl who once protected me from schoolyard bullies. The ventilation shaft, she whispers. It connects to Unit 245. Smoke starts seeping under the door. They're trying to flush us out. The files, the voice calls. 10 seconds or we do this the hard way. I look at my phone, then at Emma. Do you trust me? Never. She smiles sadly. But I don't have a choice. I hit send, not to the criminals or the police, but to Nina, along with our location and a prearranged signal. Help is coming, but we have to survive long enough. The smoke thickens. Emma boosts me toward the vent as pounding starts on the door. If we get out of this, I grunt, pulling myself up, you're still going to prison. I know. She coughs. But my boys... We'll have one parent who chose them over crime. I reach down. Now climb. We crawl through darkness as the storage unit fills with smoke. Behind us, the door gives way with a crash. They're in the vents, someone shouts. Emma grabs my ankle. Jade, I'm sorry for everything. Save it, we're not dead yet. Sirens wail in the distance. Nina came through. But as gunshots ring out below us, I realize this isn't over. Emma and I may survive this night, but our family will never be the same. Sometimes revenge doesn't end with a bang, but with two sisters crawling through darkness, running from the consequences of their choices. The courthouse steps feel colder than they should in summer. Emma stands before the judge in designer prison orange, her perfect posture finally broken. Mother clutches father's arm in the gallery, while Ryan sits alone, the boys mercifully absent. I touch my healed shoulder as Emma speaks. I accept full responsibility for my actions, she says, but her eyes find mine. The path to hell is paved with desperate choices. The sentence comes down heavy. 15 years. Mother sobs. Father stares straight ahead, aged decades in months. I remain seated as they lead Emma away, her final glance carrying something between hatred and understanding. Outside, Ryan approaches with papers in hand. The boys ask about you. Better than asking about their mother in prison. I take the documents, adoption papers. Emma's giving up custody to protect them from her crimes. They need family, he says quietly. They have you. They need more than a reformed gambling addict. He runs a hand through his graying hair. Emma wants you to be their guardian if anything happens to me. The irony tastes like ash. The sister who shot me now trusts me with her children's future. Nina waits by her car, watching. She's been my shadow through all this, keeping me from drowning in victory's hollow echo. I'll think about it, I tell Ryan. Father catches me before I leave. Was it worth it? Was what worth it? The revenge, destroying your sister, our family. I look at the courthouse where Emma disappeared. She destroyed herself. I just exposed the truth. And now, what's left for any of us? The question follows me home, where Emma's case files still cover my desk. Evidence of her crimes, her lies, her desperate attempt to maintain her perfect life. But beneath them lies something else. Childhood photos I couldn't bring myself to pack away. Two sisters before shadows and resentment grew between them. My phone rings. The prison. Emma, making her one aloud call. I never apologized, she says without greeting. For the shooting, for everything before. Save it. We're past apologies. Maybe. But I need you to know, it wasn't all lies. Not in the beginning. I really thought I could protect everyone. By sacrificing me? By being perfect, strong enough for all of us. She pauses. Ryan showed me the papers. Will you do it? Watch over them? I trace the scar on my shoulder. Why me? Because you're the only one strong enough to tell them the truth when they're ready. About their mother, their father, all of it. The truth? I laugh. Since when do you care about truth? Since I realized lies cost me everything. Her voice catches. They'll need someone who understands that. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, then at the childhood photos. Two girls smiling, before one became the golden child and the other learned to hate. Nina brings wine later, settling beside me on the balcony. So what now? You won. Emma's in prison. The truth's out. Truth, I murmur. Funny thing about truth, it doesn't fix anything, just leaves wreckage to sort through. And the boys? I think of Lucas and Mason, innocent casualties of adult wars, of Emma's final request, not for forgiveness, but for protection of what matters most. Maybe that's the real revenge, I say finally. Not destroying Emma's perfect life, but building something better from its ruins. Something real. Nina studies me. Sounds less like revenge and more like redemption. Maybe they're the same thing in the end. Below, the city lights flicker like stars, each one a story of triumph or tragedy. Somewhere in that maze of light and shadow, two boys wait to learn who they'll become, their mother's sons or their own men. I pull out my phone and text Ryan. I'll do it. For them, not for her. His reply comes quickly. That's exactly why she chose you. The night air carries a hint of autumn, of change coming whether we're ready or not. I lift my wine glass, toasting the shadows of who we were and the uncertainty of who we'll become. Some victories leave scars deeper than any defeat. But maybe that's how you know they mattered.